Hi, friends. Welcome into the firm of Harris and Meringue. Patrick Harris with you. Yo, that's me. That's my name. To my left, an empty chair. Back there on the ones and twos, that is Casey Smith holding down the beats for us on a happy little Friday, on a football Friday. Danny is out. He is getting married on Sunday. He will be back on Thursday, I believe. Thursday and Friday, we will preview the 4 local teams in the area. Oregon, Oregonian State, Washington, and Wazoo. No shots taken at Wazoo. That's the brethren. That's my people.
We like 2.5 of those teams.
2.5 of those teams. Wazoo, Oregon State, and half of Oregon?
Yep.
Is that how we're doing?
Half of Oregon.
I know. You see these dolts this morning trying to tell me which NFL team to root for, and they chose the Vikings. Well, not a terrible choice. Like,
Sprague had a lot of slander for you, boy, this morning.
Bro, I am not wearing purple.
These bitter Niner fans just coming after me today.
Well, you're taking some interesting shots at Niner fans. You're crapping on them like they've been to more Super Bowls over the last decade than you have.
And haven't won any of them.
Understood, but don't get me on this like
my team has
I'd
won
rather
more
go
Super Bowls in my lifetime than his team has won in his.
That's not true. His team has won at least 3 in his lifetime.
I don't know how old.
2 Montana, 1 Young.
I might think he is younger than
he doesn't have all 4 Montana, but I think he's got 2.
Okay.
And a Steve Young.
I know he's got a Steve Young, but I didn't know he was young enough for the Montanas.
However, what was I going to say here? I totally forgot. Gone.
Just
Adios.
out the window.
Out the window. I'm never going to wear purple in my entire life. It's not going to happen.
No skull claps for you?
Nope. While a good idea.
Well, good, because that means I don't have to hate you and you don't have to be a Ravens fan.
Yeah, no, I can't wear purple. It's just...
It's too close.
It's
Plus,
too close.
Ravens are purple and gold, so you should also hate them.
Yeah, no, I don't hate teams that are purple. I just hate that team up there is purple. I told Andy Dirt Johnson there's a better chance that man wears purple than I do.
That could be fair.
Because it's just never gonna change.
Got a lot of hatred.
It's not even hatred. It's
you like
just,
to bleed crimson.
It's just reality. If you slit a husky's throat, it'll bleed crimson. It will.
You like to come back to that one.
It will. It will.
Who would you pick as your NFL team, though?
I mean, if I had to, I'd probably go back to the Chargers.
Yeah, you floated that around.
Yeah. I mean, I was a fan of them as a kid. My favorite NFL player of all time is LaDainian Tomlinson.
Juiced up.
I love Juiced Up. The only reason I abandoned them was because I didn't want to root for an LA team.
Well, that and you didn't want to dig into the Duck Homerisms.
Right. Because at the time, I was like, Herbert? Pfft, no thanks. I'm not into this dude at all. Yeah, I was just like, eh.
Well, you might end up with perpetual sadness by being a Chargers fan.
Broski,
You'll get some good games in between.
I'm a Cleveland Guardians fan. I'm wearing a Shane Bieber t-shirt jersey right now, all right? Don't talk to me about perpetual losers, all right?
Again, my team hasn't won since I was 8 years old.
Before 2019, Liverpool had done squadouche since I had been a fan. Well, they won Champions League in 2004, but outside of that, dude, most of my teams are not very good.
Do we check in on my Premier League team?
What is your Premier League team?
Didn't we decide a few weeks ago who it was?
I don't remember that.
I think we decided it was either Leicester City or it was someone that wasn't terrible.
Well, you don't want to be Leicester because they're in the second league. They're not even in the championship. They're in League One. You don't want that. That's a long way back. That's a long way back.
Did we decide it was Aston Villa for me?
You can be Aston Villa. I love Aston Villa.
I think
they're fun.
I think that's what we decided on.
Yeah, although they just sold all their players, so they're not going to be very good this year.
Well, sellers become winners next year.
The most successful sports fandom I have, stateside, is without a doubt the Portland Timbers, and it's not close.
Oh, yeah.
3 title appearances in 11 years and a chip. It's not close, dude.
That's pretty good.
I was a Charger fan for a long time. Nothing. Blazer fan. We don't need to get into that.
Yeah, Chargers got a lot of sadness.
I was a Pacer fan as a kid. 1 finals appearance. Lost to Shaq and Kobe. A lot of great battles with the Knicks. To lose to Michael Jordan.
Almost had one the other year.
My Cleveland
Tyrese
Guardians.
Halliburton.
I've watched my Cleveland
He could be
Guardians
your king.
play in 3 World Series in my life and lose 2 of them in extra innings of Game 7.
Golly.
Yeah, dude.
You need a break.
Yeah, man.
You need a break from the poorness that is your sports team.
Liverpool was about to win a title, I believe the year is 2013, and Steven Gerrard slipped, and they scored a goal off of it and ended the chance to win the league. Yeah, dude. All my teams blow. Dude, I went to Wazoo, man. What do you want from me? All right?
You can put it on the board.
Yeah, dang.
Like, we celebrate Gardner Minshew, and he lived there for 4 months. I don't even know if he was there for 4 months.
What was Mike Leach's winning? What was his record at Wazoo?
That's a great question.
Because again, he's your greatest coach of all time.
No, it's Mike Price. Mike Price took us to like 2 Rose Bowls, dude.
Yeah, but
55 and 47 over 8 years at Wazoo.
Still winning. Still a winning record.
Yeah.
That,
3 and
that
9.
worried me for a little bit.
3 and 9, 6 and 7 lost in the bowl game. 3 and 9, 9 and 4 won a bowl game. 8 and 5 won a bowl game. 9 and 4 won a bowl game. 11 and 2 won a bowl game. 6 and 7 won a bowl game.
Okay, so once he figured it out, he was good.
Yeah, dude.
God, I love Mike Leach.
He did, dude.
I'm ready for
that's
all
why
the sound
we're
takes.
short shorts when you did
Football
legs,
season
bro.
is
Like,
here.
Football season is here, dude.
I'm so excited for all the outtakes, all the sound takes, all the Kurt Signetti-isms we're gonna get.
I know. Do you think it's a good thing that we get college first and then the NFL? Or would you like them simultaneously?
Part of me thinks the simultaneous would be nice, but I think you need college football because college football gives you the juice that preseason just doesn't quite give you.
Yeah, dude.
So you get juiced up right before that NFL first kickoff because that lead up to that first kickoff on, was it Wednesday, September 9th?
For the NFL?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's gonna be a rollout.
Saturday, August 29th, 2026 is week 0, okay? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games that week, that day, okay? Starts with the Ireland game, North Carolina at TCU. Then you get San Jose State at SC, fight on, NC State at Virginia, Jacksonville State at North Dakota State, Sacramento State at Eastern Michigan, Hawaii at Stanford, go Cardinal, New Mexico State at Florida State, Memphis at UNLV. There is not a matchup or the amount of time any certain players are playing that I would rather watch an NFL preseason game than any of those games. And that includes at 2:30 on CBS Sports Network in Fargo, North Dakota, Jacksonville State at North Dakota State. I would rather watch that game than an NFL preseason game. And I don't even gamble.
That depends who's starting for a preseason. It depends who's in the preseason.
So I can watch Herbert have 3 plays and then go sit? I'm out, bro. I'm out.
I would much rather watch some 2s in the NFL than Jacksonville State. There's 3 good games probably in that first slate. Maybe 4.
Dude, North Carolina and TCU is not a good game.
It's still
Still better.
good enough football I'll give you one good game.
San Jose State?
Maybe. Again, I'm reaching here.
Mountain West versus USC?
No.
First chance to see USC, though.
No.
NC State at Virginia.
That'll probably be a good game.
ACC battle. That's your 12:30 kick. Sacramento State, Eastern Michigan.
No.
Hawaii, Stanford. I'm going to watch that game for personal reasons.
I think that game will be just be fun to watch.
New Mexico State at Florida State on the C-Dub.
No, I'm not giving you it. Florida State was awful last year.
Memphis at UNLV. That's a night game on Fox.
I'll take that one.
See, but
I'll take that. 5 games.
What I'm trying to say is I will watch all of this over preseason games. All of it.
Depends who's in the preseason for me.
Now, I'm not going to watch all these games, but I'm going to watch probably some of the North Carolina TCU game. I'll probably look and see how SC is so I can talk trash to Meringue. Hawaii at Stanford, I'll watch some of that.
Mm-hmm.
And the night game, I'll probably catch the second half of Memphis UNLV.
Yeah. That's pretty much exactly what I would do in that situation.
I only know that Justin Herbert had 3 plays for the Chargers last night because I listened to Dirt and Sprague in the morning. If I didn't, I would have no idea what happened yesterday. Because of Swag's update, I heard Fernando Mendoza threw an 80-yard pick 6. If I didn't listen to Swag's update or Dirt and Sprague this morning, I would have squadoosh idea what happened in preseason yesterday.
Are you going to know what's going to happen in the Jacksonville State game, week 0?
Yeah, because it's real football that I might watch.
You're
Dakota State, dude.
You're not watching
North Dakota State, they're D1 now, aren't they?
You're not watching
Mountain West, bro.
If there is soccer on in the same day or even the same weekend, you're not watching Jacksonville State.
Ooh, that's a great point. Let's see here.
And
Saturday the 29th.
I'm guessing there's a Timbers game on Saturday.
Hosting Austin FC at 7:30.
No way you are watching Jacksonville.
I will be attending.
Not a chance you are watching those week 0 games.
I will be attending that game.
You will watch North Carolina and TCU. Maybe catch a little bit of the highlights of UNLV Memphis.
Tottenham
No way you're watching Jacksonville.
Tottenham hosting Newcastle at 9:30 a.m. I'm watching that. I'm watching that instead of TCU. And yeah, you're right.
Get me the football sicko. You the football sicko.
The question is there a good noon game? Because I'm open right now in the noon game. Let's see here. Sevilla's going to host Atletico Madrid. I could be interested in that. Does Seattle lose again to Chicago in MLS? I could be interested in that. Yeah, you're probably right, Case. You're probably right.
When soccer's on, you pick your priorities.
'Tis a football Friday. Oakley Dokley, we do got a great show for you today. And speaking of Football Friday, Brian Dunseth of MLS Apple TV, he will join us at 11:15. We'll take a peek as the Timbers are on the road tomorrow against LAFC. I still have not heard the official word on Brandon Bye, but if that comes around, we will let you know. We'll talk a little NFL windows, Pat McAfee, fifth-year players in college football and college basketball, along with you get to choose who wins the Heisman Trophy this year, and some baseball nuggies as well. Don't forget, in the big nooner, Casey and I will unveil our attire for the meringue wedding, so you'll want to check that out. Definitely jump on the YouTube to see it, but we will give you a full rundown for those of you in radio land. When we come back, let's have a little fun. College football's top 100 players. How far until we get to defensive players is always our fun question. And I believe Casey asked me, who's the first corner on the list? We'll get to that next. 105.1 The Fan and the Fan Sports Network. 10:16 here, Portland Sports Leader. Don't you forget it, baby. We are live from the shadows of the historic Fremont Bridge. It's 503-864-6326 kind of day. That's the text line. She'll let you interact with us throughout the entire day. There's also the YouTubes out there. 105.1 The Fan is the channel. Smash that like, subscribe button, jump in the chat. It's a Friday, so let's be chill, y'all. Let's be chill. On the text line, are you guys the firm of Harris or Meringue at this point? That's a fair point. That's a fair shot. I get it.
Step into a Slim Jim.
Danny will be back on Thursday, next Thursday. So we'll have Thursday, Friday, and I believe I only have one more day on the books. It's a one day. And then you get us for the rest of your lives. For the rest of your lives.
Take over,
Monty. I'm in the bag. CBS Sports has put out their top 150 player rankings. It's a Football Friday, so let's get right to it, okay? Let's have a little bit of fun with this. Is there any player in college football, Casey, and I ask you listeners out there as well, you can text in your thoughts, is there any real argument for any player being the best player in college football than Jeremiah Smith?
I can't think of one.
I can't think of one either. While I do know that there are a bunch of quarterbacks that are going to have some nice seasons this year and are going to be touted, and I would be surprised if a quarterback didn't win the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, but just if I go by just breaking down who's the best player at their position, bar none, no contest, who stands above everybody else, well, it's Jeremiah Smith. And so I feel like that's just the easy place to put him.
Right, exactly. And let's take the wide receiver room, for example, okay? Malachi Toney sits the list at number 4. Definitely had an amazing inaugural season last year. Awesome in the playoff. A very, very good player that we expect to be even better around him. Dare I say, Darian Mensah might be a better quarterback than Carson Beck. So if that's the case, then he could blow up. But I'm not taking Malachi Toney over Jeremiah Smith.
Nope.
If you want to look at the quarterbacks on this list, okay? Let's just look at the top 10. There's a few quarterbacks in here. Number 2 overall, it's Dante Moore. Number 3 overall is Trinidad Chambliss, the second quarterback on this list. Then you get to Arch at 9 and Mestamaker at 10. Let's just, for the sake of argument, we can get into these quarterbacks for a moment. This list has Dante Moore as the top quarterback. Is Dante better than Jeremiah Smith?
No.
I don't think so either. And it's not a shot at Dante.
It's not a shot at Dante. It's just, again, if I go back to who was just bar none the best player at their position, I can't think of, again, if the drop-off from Jeremiah Smith to Malachi Toney, well, Malachi Toney is a really great receiver and a really great athlete. But Jeremiah Smith is the best true receiver in this college football landscape right now.
Without a doubt. If you held the NFL draft right now, would he go first? Or would the quarterback still jump it?
The quarterback's going to jump it because of just the value of the quarterback position. But Jeremiah Smith is going to be the first talent non-quarterback taken off the board.
Let's see. Let's stick in this quarterback world, though. You go a long way until you reach another wide receiver. Mm-hmm. In fact, I'm still scrolling. It's Cam Coleman from Texas at 12. Okay? But around him is a lot of quarterbacks, okay? As I said, Dante 2, Trinidad Chambliss 3, Arch 4, Drew Mestamaker 5, Jaden Mayava 11, Mestamaker 10, Jaden Mayava 11.
I feel like we're
Mensah
missing a
13.
Name.
What's that?
I feel like we're missing a name.
Who?
I feel like we're missing Jeremiah Smith's quarterback.
Julian Sayin?
I'm pretty high on Julian Sayin this year.
CJ Carr made the list at 18, Julian Sayin at 19. Now, the quarterbacks are weird because...
Is Julian Sayin that far worse than Arch Manning in people's eyes?
I don't think so. I think Julian Sayin has a lot of hype coming around him this year. I don't get it. He's not my Huckleberry.
Not my Huckleberry as well, but you can't deny that guy completed a great amount of his passes and was a great game creator towards the end of the season last year. That confuses me that Arch Manning would be at 9, but Julian Sayin is all the way back at 22, you said?
He's 19.
19.
Yeah, and CJ Carr at 18. I'm actually really high on CJ Carr this year. The most interesting one on all of this has to be Drew Mestamaker. You're putting Drew Mestamaker at number 10?
Yeah.
We went through the Oklahoma State schedule yesterday with Stevie Fire, And we're looking at what? 6.5 wins, the over-under? And I think we all landed on 6. Some of us on 5.
Mm-hmm.
Can you win 5 games and have a top 10 player in college football?
Be really difficult to do. I'm trying to think of any program that's been that bad and still been able to churn out a quarterback.
Now, I know RG3 and Lamar.
RG3 won games at Baylor.
Yeah, but they didn't. I think he won 9 games his Heisman year. And I think Lamar is the same way at Louisville when he won his. So you can win, but you can't be 500.
So RG3 was, in his true freshman year, went 4-8, went 2-1 before tearing his ACL. Then he went 7-6 his redshirt sophomore year, and his Heisman Trophy season, he went 10-3 and won in the Alamo Bowl.
So he went 9-3 and then won a bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do it, but who has ever been 6-6, 6-5, and gotten that kind of swag?
Yeah, I can't think of one.
Now, it's definitely a better place for him at Oklahoma State than North Texas would have been, so I'm happy about that. But maybe the Arch Manning sitting at number 9, maybe that's the good thing for him. Maybe that is good for him to be sitting back behind a Trinidad Chambliss, a Dante Moore. Because going into last season, Arch Manning had all this pressure, all this hype, guilty as charged. I hook, line, sinkered into it, and I was eating the Arch Manning Kool-Aid. And he got knocked down pretty good, but he played pretty well at the end of the year. Is Arch Manning the one that's kind of flying under the radar here?
I think it's a little bit.
Because the other argument you can make
I think just putting him on this list high up is like, oh, okay, so he's the name that people want to see high up on this list. But I don't think he quite deserves to be up in the top 10 quite yet.
And as the text line saying, typical Manning overhype. And we'll see. It was definitely true last year, but at the end of the year, there weren't many quarterbacks playing better than Arch last year.
Yeah, he was great at the end of the season last year.
Now, if you want to find a quarterback on this list that's probably getting the most overlooked on all of that, I mean, I hate to say it because he's not here right now, but it's probably Jaden Maiava. Fight on.
Yeah, it's probably the dude who had 2 receivers get drafted this year, and, well, he threw for over 3,700 yards and 24 touchdowns, led the Big Ten in passing yards. That's pretty good.
It is pretty good. And USC's never had an issue with wide receivers. Now, can their defense do anything? Is Lincoln Riley a good coach? That remains to be seen a little bit. But we do know that Lincoln Riley's great with quarterbacks, and is Jaden Maiava the one that's going to pop? Now, I'm the CJ Carr guy. That's my guy this year, although I do think Dante is the best quarterback of all these. If I had to choose any of them to run my team this year, I am probably taking Dante Moore. I mean, I would love an Oregon-Notre Dame national championship. I think that would be fascinating. CJ Carr's a nice one, too. You asked the question, when do we see defensive players? Number 5, Leonard Moore, the corner out of Notre Dame. That Notre Dame defense is going to be really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Colin Simmons, the edge out of Texas at number 6. You get your first O lineman, Jordan Seaton, out of LSU. That's their tackle. Here's your first running back is Kawan Lacey. Now, that's what's so interesting about this Ole Miss squad. Okay, you're going to give me Trinidad Chambliss. You're going to give me Kawan Lacey. That's a nice one, too. Who are you throwing the ball to? Is this a Lane does magic there and Pete Golding can't keep it going? Or does Pete Golding keep it going? I don't know that. And that's why, dare I say, this college season may be the most up-in-the-air college season I've ever seen.
Well, they have a few wide receivers that do make this list. They have Deuce Alexander. He said he's a talented outside wide receiver who can make plays at every level of the field. Nearly half of his 44 receptions were produced explosive gains. He comes in at 103 on the list. Searching. Yeah, he's the only other Ole Miss talent that's on the list.
That's crazy, man. I feel bad for that program, too, because that program was really building something nice. I actually thought Lane was going to stick around for a little bit, and now they're kind of living in a world of very much unknown. And if they fall backwards this year in college football, they might not get back up. You know, there are squads that can fall down a little bit. Oregon could take a back seat. Notre Dame could take a back seat. Alabama is taking a back seat. we can see those teams come back and still be good.
LSU take a backseat under Brian Kelly.
Yep. But we expect them to come back. Ole Miss scares me. Like, if they take a backseat this year, I don't know what they're going to have to do to come out of it. I don't know if Pete Golding's the guy. We'll see.
I just think they're loaded up with talent. I mean, again, the fact that you have Trinidad Chambliss and Kawan Lacey in a backfield, that's going to be very difficult for teams to figure out and scheme against. That's a little bit of a nightmare. If you can evolve the receiving core and give Trinidad Chambliss a true number one target, that'll be pretty dangerous.
If you're curious where any of your other Oregon Ducks land on this list, Amari Washington at 22. Let's see here. De'Aaron Hill at 30. It's a nice little bump there for De'Aaron Hill. Brandon Finney at 36. Now, Brandon Finney, if Leonard Moore doesn't exist, Brandon Finney's probably your top corner in the nation.
Yeah, in my opinion. I'm very surprised to see him, probably just because he's super young. And, again, it's the second year of college football, and he'll probably have to come back for another one. So
they know he'll be number one corner next year?
I think that's probably where the jump will be.
Let's see here if I can find anybody else. DeCorian Moore at 51.
Got Jamari Johnson at 64.
There's Jamari Johnson at 64.
Tatum Tuioti at 77.
And I'll bet you this back end of this list is littered with Oregon players, right? Just because that defense is so good, returning so many starters. Scrolling. That might be it.
Mateo Uiagalelei at 125. Koi Parrish at 137.
Preseason All-American Koi Parrish. Koi Pond at 137, but he's a preseason All-American. Does that tell me that safety's not a very deep class this year?
Well, except that there's a guy that's in the top 15 that from the safety positions, the guy from LSU, I believe. I'm sorry, he is trying to find the first safety on the list. I thought it was in the top 10, but I could be wrong here. Come back to me.
Okay. That's it. That's kind of it. That's all I got. I just wanted to look through this and kind of take a peek and see what's going on.
Leonard Moore out of Notre Dame. He's the first corner at number 5.
Oh, yeah, he's the first corner at 5. Yeah, Leonard Moore. Here's Dante. Look, I love Dante. I think Dante's going to have a great year. 72.5% of his passes in 2025, 3,500 yards, 30 touchdowns. I bet she throws closer to 4,000 yards this year.
Just can the receiving core stay healthy? I think that's my biggest woe against Oregon right now is can that receiving core stay healthy, and how are we going to see Dante distribute the ball with the new offensive coordinator?
Yeah, and what kind of step does Dante need to take? You know what I mean? Because I don't think his decision-making is all that terrible. Just, can you become elite? Can you show me that you're the number 1 overall pick in the draft? I think that's all people really want to see, is do you have that in you? I think he does, but it'll be fascinating to see how other players perform. I know, like I said, I was big on C.J. Carr. I just think he's got a lot of promise to him. He's not there yet by any means. 66% of his passes, 2,700 yards, 24 touchdowns. He looks to be the part. And maybe that's why I like him more than Julian Sayin. Julian Sayin's on a better team. Was last year.
Again, Ohio State's going to continuously churn out top-level talent.
Without a doubt.
So could Julian Sayin just not lose games? I think that's my biggest thing is we saw... I don't want to say we saw Dante Moore lose games. We didn't see Dante Moore outwardly win a lot of important games. And I think that's what I want to see.
He had the one throw against Penn State, which was money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's the step Julian Sayin's probably going to have to take. You're right. I don't think Julian Sayin really cost them any games, but he definitely didn't win them any games.
Yep.
Can he win them games? That'll be a big thing. If you've seen enough of this guy, then buckle up because you're about to see a whole lot more. That's Casey over there with sports.
Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
This sports update is brought to you by Big's Chicken. Try their smoked and fried wings, tossed with a perfect dry rub, and served with a trio of killer sauces. Menus at bigschicken.com. First on the Fan, Mark Stad has completed a deal to become the controlling owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Minnesota Lynx. Stad is buying out the majority co-owner Mark Lohr's stake at a $4.5 billion valuation. Lohr will still retain a minority investment in the team, while co-owner Alex Rodriguez will increase his equity percentage. Over to the WNBA as your Portland Fire are on the road taking on the Toronto Tempo inside Rogers Arena. Tip-off set for 7 p.m. as you can catch all of tonight's coverage over on 9:10 a.m. when pregame starts at 6:45. Your Portland Timbers are back in action tomorrow night taking on LAFC on the road. Kickoff set for 7:30, but make sure to tune in right here on 105.1 FM and 1080 AM when pregame starts at 6:30. And finally, some NFL preseason matchups for you as we have 3 games for you tonight. The Pittsburgh Steelers will face off against the New York Jets at 4 p.m. The Carolina Panthers and the Jaguars will kick off at 4:30. And wrapping up our preseason slate is the Green Bay Packers taking on the Denver Broncos. And for more sports scores and stories in 30 minutes, I'm Lowercase from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt, missing work? Insurance companies acting like jerks? Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at WarrenAllen.com.
The home of the Fan Happy Hour.
A lot to get to here on a Football Friday. Make fun of some dead people here in a moment. They're not actually dead, but something might die, and it probably should die. A lot to get to in the 11 o'clock hour as well. Brian Dunseth, MLS Apple TV, will join us. Preview the Timbers game against LAFC this weekend, which you can hear right here on the Fan Sports Network. The big nooner, Casey and I have our attire for the famous meringue wedding that will be on Sunday. So you'll want to tune in for that. Casey, do you consume the Manning cast for Monday Night Football?
Partially. It depends on who's playing. If it's a good quarterback matchup, then I usually like to turn on the Manning cast. Other than that, I don't like to hear them say that, oh, this guy should have done this, this guy should have done that. I try to stay with the regular broadcast.
Find like they're a bunch of haters?
A little bit.
Bunch of haters. Well, when they are not going to be about it, because I'm sure they have some scheduling conflicts and stuff, the Monday Night Altcast for Pat McAfee will be going on there. Now, I understand Pat McAfee is the cash cow over at the Four Letter right now, so I completely understand them wanting to shove him down our throat. But are we interested? I don't consume his show enough at all. In fact, it's on during this show, so Danny sometimes watches it, so I see it over my shoulder, but I rarely ever watch it. I'm watching Mark DeRosa break down a swing right now, which I don't know if that's credible either, but I'm watching that. I don't know if McAfee's the guy I really love talking to me about NFL. He's my college bro.
I live in both camps. I think I love him for the NFL because he brings on Schefter, he brings on Rappaport, AJ Hawk gives great insight. My quarterback goes on there every other week, it seems, so I feel like I have to listen.
Well, he's got an agenda.
Yeah, that I worry about. I don't necessarily have an issue with him in doing one or the other. I just think if you can keep churning out the football content, again, NFL is king, and football is king, so we're just going to keep pushing as much football content on people as we possibly can.
Now, what I will say about Pat McAfee, for all the people over the years that have been shoved down our throats, McAfee is the least egregious for me.
He's the most digestible, in my opinion.
I agree. I mean, he's definitely bro-y, a lot more bro-y than I am. So I'm a little surprised that I enjoy him as much as I do, but I think he's good. I think he appeals to what probably the more modern sports fan is these days. Also, I don't know how many people your age, Casey, watch SportsCenter, watch ESPN. So if he's the guy that's going to relate to more of your generation, then that's a great move for him. Mm-hmm. I think he does great stuff on game day. I was never a big Corso guy, just personally, even when he was younger and not, lost his marbles.
Yeah, the losing the marbles, that's when I started to lean off of College Game Day, but I think they revitalized it in a way that, again, is super digestible in ways it hadn't been in the past.
I think what I'm more curious about this when it comes to Pat McAfee doing Monday Night Football stuff is more of just, what's the future of Pat McAfee? Like, will we get a burnout point of him? Yeah, probably. But what's the backslide of the burnout on Pat McAfee? Because we're seeing the backslide on the burnout of Stephen A. Mm-hmm. We've seen the backside burnout of Skip Bayless, people like that. And I to put McAfee in those same categories, I don't know if that's fair. Those guys are like journalists who became yellers, who became talking heads. To where Pat McAfee's always been like, yo, dude, I just say what I want. I'm a punter from West Virginia and played in the NFL with Peyton Manning. I'm a nobody. I just yell and take my shirt off.
But I think that's why people like Pat McAfee for it. Because, again, Stephen A. can get exhausting to a point where you're like, well, why do I need to listen to this guy? I saw him try to do that boxing video. I can just turn that off. I know this guy's not the greatest athlete. And I hate that, but I also understand where people come from when they do those things.
Yeah, and McAfee, look, we all knew somebody like Pat McAfee. If we are not the Pat McAfee, we knew somebody like that, especially in college sports, whether it was on campus or your buddies watching the Duck game on Saturday at the bar. We all know a Pat McAfee. He's just been really, really good about it. But I am curious, he's making $65 million a year.
I also think that he's surrounded himself with a really good team. I think that the fact that the guys on his show have been able to build brands around him, I think that contributes to how impactful he has been, not only as just a journalist, but as a leader in his own locker room, for what you want to say.
And something I do get from Pat McAfee, look, they all have egos in this business. You know, you kind of have to if you want to get to where you want to be. But that's the difference between him, I think, and then a lot of the other guys. He knows he's kind of a goof. He knows he's kind of a goober.
And he digs into that, and I think that's what makes him lovable.
Dude, he loves wrestling. Like, for the longest time, when I was younger, wrestling was huge, right? And then probably the mid to late 2000s, early 2010s, it was like, you're an adult and you watch wrestling? Bro, get a life. And wrestling's made a huge comeback. And I've never shamed anybody for liking wrestling. I don't care, man. Watch whatever the hell you want. I don't care. As long as you're not making me watch something, then I don't care. So for him to do part of that, yeah, it kind of leans into it, makes him feel a little more everyday, man, a little more relatable. To where some of those other dudes, they just always feel like they're better than you and they know better than you. You know, you don't know ball kind of thing. Like, I hate that sort of attitude. And McAfee is just like, look, man, you want to get drunk and watch some football? That sounds dope.
I just think that his show makes it seem like they're open to all the conversations about topics, that they're not steadfast about it being necessarily one ideological idea about what this sport should or should not be. I just like that everything, that the conversations that they have are leave it up to interpretation and let's just try to better the game.
This is an article by Andrew Marchand in The Athletic. There's some interesting little tidbits in here. If the altcasts go through, McAfee could be on ESPN or ESPN2 for nearly 7 hours some Mondays during the season. That's the danger when you sign that big old contract.
That's a lot of time.
They're going to put you on wherever they want. Now, another interesting kind of tick in this, the league requires approval for all altcasts. In some cases, it just approves, while the NFL can also ask for an added fee. ESPN pays around $2.7 billion a year to the league. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell is said to be a fan of McAfee, evidenced by his appearances on McAfee's program. Now, that's the real question. If ESPN ends up having to pay the NFL to do an altcast and have McAfee on there, would they still do it? Would they still do it?
I doubt it.
I doubt it too. I don't know if it's worth it. I mean, I don't know what that number would look like.
Yeah, because I
but
just
you're already
think
paying him a lot of money.
It's also how do you're just trying to recoup your money on the back end.
Yeah.
That just, okay. All right.
Yeah. This texter, Pat is also being a punter and not thrown down our throats during his playing career helps too. We all feel like we could be a punter or kicker in theory, which I think also helps his relatability. It's the truth. Everybody thinks 35-yard field goal. How'd you miss that? I could do that. I could kick that field goal. That's true. That's true.
Now you get guys booting 70-yarders.
I know. What's that guy's name? Cam Little?
Cam Little.
In Jacksonville?
Yeah, kicker for Jacksonville.
He's not even that big.
No. Get Brandon Aubrey. He's a big guy.
McAfee's a big dude.
Mm-hmm. These aren't small humans.
No, but the small humans are actually still doing just as fine. We put this one to bed as maybe it's time to finally call it an end. They're hanging on. But it's time to just adios, muchachos. We'll go there next. 105.1 The Fan and the Fan Sports Network.
The biggest...
Hour number 2 is coming up here. We'll take a peek in the NFL. I want to ask a question about windows. Okay? Windows is something that we always talk about, but there may be a different way to look at windows. Brian Dunseth of MLS Apple TV will join us, discuss Timbers, LAFC, and maybe we'll make fun of the Sounders a little bit too because they can't stop losing up north. Is Jeff Passan in trouble? Is this a real thing? Because if it's a real thing, I don't like it.
It's starting to look less and less real by the minute.
Good. Then if we're getting rage baited, then let's make fun of somebody. All right?
At least the replies are making me lean that way.
They're all LA Dodger bots.
It's a toxic reply section.
It really is. We'll get to that as well, plus web gems. Don't forget, in the Big Nooner, we will unveil our attire for the meringue wedding on Sunday. But let's get into some conversations here, all right? The final event on Live Golf Tour has been canceled. They are still optimistic that next season will happen. But it's created a lot of interesting discourse. The leader in the clubhouse, so to say, of the most vocal anti-Live person on planet Earth, well, that would be Rory McIlroy. He was asked kind of the idea of what the value of returning players to the PGA Tour from Live and what would that do. He's got a lot of really interesting comments in here, and I don't know how you can find a hole in it and find a way to say that Rory's not onto something here. Quote, I would argue, what if they brought value to Live? I think the PGA Tour's in a really good spot, and that's what's really, really fascinating, is he's kind of calling out, and he goes on, and I'll read some more quotes here in a little bit. He goes on to talk about how there's a lot of players in Live that he does enjoy playing with, that he does think their golf game is really great. But what has the Jon Rahms and the Bryson DeChambos, and I know Brooks is back on the PGA, and Patrick Reed is about to be back on the PGA, but let's just take those four guys, for example, who are probably the biggest names over there. What have those guys done for Live? Because in theory, if you are creating this side tournament and bringing in all these great guys, they should elevate your program. Let's take the NBA, for example. If they create NBA Europe, okay, and it's a real league, if you bring over Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, I know they won't leave the States, but just follow me. If you can bring over the top European players, Giannis, Luka, Jokic, over into the European game, in theory, that should bring you value to the league, correct?
Correct.
But this is like them going over there and somehow still nobody watches. It's not competitive basketball. Everyone's just making money. No one cares about your stats. No one cares how you finish in the regular season.
Outside of Bryson DeChambeau, who do you think are the top, I'd say, not necessarily branded golfers, but who are the top names in Live Golf.
I mean, it's John Rahm. Definitely John Rahm. I mean, he was
Is John Rahm a big name right now because of his name or because of his actions at the Masters?
Because of his name, I think. Still, but that's kind of what I'm saying is like their names.
I guess I'm saying his name or his golf.
Oh, his golf. But that's the problem, though. Everybody that's gone over there, with the exception of Bryson in one or two tournaments, nobody's really playing well when they have to get into majors. So now your golf game is suffering. So it's not even that. It's like Luka's three-point shooting goes from 47% to 36%.
Again, you're lowering the level of talent
Yeah.
and expecting us to be happy with the product.
Rory, I feel like I've kept my position consistent that Live has never been a good thing for the game. Whatever 2.0 looks like, even if it happens, they're saying they're trying to be more collaborative and all that, but this is the best platform for the top professional golfers in the world. Look, I know Rory's always going to stick up for the PGA. I don't take any personal satisfaction from people losing their jobs. That doesn't seem right. I've always felt this is the best place. I'm pretty sure if the PGA Tour was handed $6 billion, they would have done a better job with it.
And honestly, to Rory's point, he's right.
Scotty Scheffler says that would provide, if Live Golf has a few players that, quote, would provide a lot of value to the tour and guys that I love competing against as well.
Who are the top 3 names you have in golf?
Scotty Scheffler.
I'd say you named him already.
Yeah, Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, and Bryson DeChambeau.
And
are those the 3 best players in the world? That I don't know.
And if Bryson DeChambeau, talent-wise, isn't up to the par of Rory McIlroy or Scotty Scheffler, then Liv has no ground to stand on.
Agreed.
Their number one guy, branding-wise, money-wise, and or golfing-wise, he just isn't it? He's not there.
And that's
Not
I think
the level.
and that's what I think Rory's trying to get at is that if Liv were worth a damn, if these players were worth a damn, dude, let's go back to Pat McAfee for a second, okay? And his wrestling love. You're probably too young for it, but when Vince McMahon bought WCW, they created the invasion angle, okay? Now, behind the scenes, there was a lot of stuff that couldn't go down, all right? Kevin Nash, Hulk Hogan, Sting, all like the big dudes at WCW couldn't show up yet at WWE. So they created this angle of the invasion, of the WCW guys coming in to take down the WWF. But the NWO couldn't do it for contractual reasons for like a year or two. And that angle wasn't that sexy. It was like Booker T and only Booker T. There was no Goldberg. There was no Sting. No Kevin Nash and Hulk Hogan to be able to do it. That showed up later, and that was better. This is kind of the same situation. If John Rahm, Brooks Koepka, Bryson DeChambeau, Smith, any of these dudes, if they came in and were winning Masters and the Open Championship and the U.S. by 5 strokes and, you know, looking around going, oh, you guys do the FedEx Cup? Oh, that's cute. I make $500 million over here, and I won 2 majors this year. That would be a whole different story.
Winning majors and the golf, again, if the quality of golf was better, then they have a ground to stand on. But they don't, because it's not. Because we still like to watch Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy because they elevate the field far more than guys like Bryson DeChambeau and the rest of them are.
And I think you've created a rift now too. Scotty Scheffler had this quote to say about guys trying to return. Now Brooks Koepka has done his thing. Let me find it specifically because he paid a pretty stiff penalty. Damn it, I just had this. Stalling. Koepka returned to the tour in January under a new program. He agreed to forfeit any player equity shares for the next 5 years, won't be eligible for the FedEx Cup bonus program in 2026, which is going on right now. At the PGA Tour's request, Koepka also agreed to donate $5 million to charity. That's not bad. DeChambeau, Rahm, Smith were all offered the same thing, but they declined to bring it back. And that's where Scotty Scheffler sits here and goes, I think going forward, there obviously has to be some sort of penalties. What those are, I'll let Rolap, who runs the PGA Tour, and all those guys figure it out. We have great leadership within the tour now. And then Rory doubles down on that and kind of says, look, eventually they will come back. I'm not a part of these discussions, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to be welcomed back straight away. If they were offered this returning member program back in February, the one that Brooks took, then maybe. But that has sort of come and gone. And I think it was said at the time that the deal that they might get going forward, if they do decide to come back, isn't going to be as good as the one Brooks got. So yeah, I would say it's going to be a tough road back. You have to find some sort of punishment. Otherwise...
And Brooks has the bankroll because he's won a lot more championships and a lot more titles.
And I think he was the second highest paid player at LIV. He might have been third, but I believe it was Rahm 1, and I think it was Koepka 2.
But again, he's got 3 more major championship wins over DeChambeau.
Right.
So I can move a little bit more money than probably the other guys can.
Now, the one thing that's interesting, because Rory's correct, you have to punish these guys in some sort of way. Otherwise, someone's gonna try to do it again. Mm-hmm. People try to do it in other sports. It'd be like if the state of California decided to secede from the United States.
It'd be like if the NBA just decided, or LeBron James just decided that, all right, I'm gonna take a few guys and we're gonna go play in the Big 3.
Correct. You'd have to have some sort of punishments. The ultimate punishment right now, honestly, for the LIV golfers is that they're not that great at golf anymore. You know,
they lowered the level of talent.
Yeah, and you can see some of them have bright moments. Look, Bryson's probably been the best in competing against PGA golfers in majors.
But when they get out on the course versus the guys that are on the PGA, they're not up to the scratch.
Rahm hasn't been good in years.
That's my
Brooks looks lost on the tour this year.
That's my biggest issue with LIV. If LIV was elevating the game, they're elevating the brands around golf. They're not elevating the game of golf. If they were elevating the talent level, if we're seeing lower scores and we're seeing better quality golf, I'd be happy with it. But that's not the case.
Yeah. I needed NWO to come to the
they got
table
no ground to stand on.
And not Perry Saturn and Dean Malenko. That's just the way it went. Let's get into hour number 2. So let's jump over into the NFL. Windows. Oh, the window's so small. I may take a different approach on that. Loaded hour number 2 next. 105.1 The Fan Sports Network.
We're here with Kenan.
From the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
First on the Fan, Mark Stadt has completed a deal to become the controlling owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Minnesota Lynx. Stadt is buying out the majority of co-owner Mark Lore's stake at $4.5 billion valuation. Lore will still retain minority investment in the team, while co-owner Alex Rodriguez will increase his equity percentage. Over to the WNBA as your Portland Fire are back on the road taking on the Toronto Tempo inside Rogers Arena. Tip-off set for 7 p.m. as you can catch all of tonight's coverage over on 9:10 a.m. when pregame starts at 6:45. Your Portland Timbers are back in action tomorrow night taking on LAFC on the road. Kickoff is set for 7:30, but make sure to tune in right here on 105.1 FM and 1080 a.m. when pregame starts at 6:30. And finally, some NFL preseason matchups for you as we have 3 games for you tonight. The Pittsburgh Steelers will face off against the New York Jets at 4 p.m. The Carolina Panthers and the Jaguars will kick off at 4:30. And wrapping up our preseason slate is the Green Bay Packers as they will face off against the Denver Broncos. And for more sports scores and stories in 30 minutes, I'm Lowercase from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt, missing work? Insurance companies acting like jerks? Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at WarrenAllen.com.
Your home for the Oregon Ducks.
Deuce here. If you're missing the first hour of the Firm of Harris Meringue, you can download that, the Fan Podcast, 1051thefan.com, the Odyssey app, wherever you get yours. If you missed Dirt and Sprague this morning, you can jump on there. They have launched the Dirty Poll, the famous Dirty Poll. If you want to catch that, go back and listen. I believe Texas Tech was the stop today. Go back and listen to that wherever you get your podcast. Give Casey about 10-15 on this program, and he'll have our first hour up. And if you can't wait, well, you can rewind, fast forward on the Odyssey app or the YouTubes, just not in the future, for that's impossible. Brian Dunseth of MLS Apple TV will join us here in about 10 minutes or so. We'll talk a little Timbers. They're on the road against LAFC this weekend. As Stevie Brackets asked me yesterday, is it time to start betting on the Timbers? Now, I'm not a gambler, nor do I necessarily condone gambling, but I think this weekend here game is going to show a lot of what this new Timbers team is going to look like. We'll have Web Gems up this hour as well. But I've heard a lot of talk, Casey, as we're getting closer and closer to the NFL season, about windows. Dan Campbell came out and had something to say about that. I believe he said something like, yeah, we still have our window. We're still good to go. And I think it's easy for us to fall into the concept, and I think there's a lot of validity to it, that windows are kind of short in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Depends on when you got to pay your quarterback. That's the infamous thing. Once you pay your quarterback, it's really hard to win a Super Bowl. Or you need to win with a loaded team and a quarterback that's on a friendly deal, say a Sam Darnold. But I almost want to look at the world like there is no window in the NFL. Because I feel through 1 or 2 good drafts and a good free agent class, you can get there. We're learning that you don't have to have Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, or Josh Allen to win a Super Bowl, because last time I checked, none of them have.
And last time I checked, the team that won the Super Bowl last year, I don't think anyone predicted them even having a window.
Correct.
That's what I find interesting.
Correct. Now, there are teams when you're looking at, there are teams that are in win now mode, but I think we should probably start separating win now from windows. The Rams are in a win now mode.
Yep.
But let me tell you what, outside of a couple years, when have they not had a window since Sean McVay's been there?
I think they've always been in that window.
Right. And as long as Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback in Kansas City, they're going to have
to be in that window.
A window. Yeah, but see, again, back to the Joe Burrows, and I'll even throw the Jordan Loves in there, and Caleb Williams might be one of these guys. C.J. Stroud's definitely been in the playoffs a decent amount. Mm-hmm. Justin Herbert's got to get over that bump. But who are the last quarterbacks to win the Super Bowls? Okay, Mahomes, Brady, Jalen Hurts.
Sam Darnold.
Look, everybody wants to bury Jalen Hurts right now, and he may be an overrated quarterback. I'm not the biggest Jalen Hurts guy in the world, but he's won a Super Bowl.
He's got one of them once.
So has Sam Darnold. So we're living in a world, Matt Stafford's got one. Okay, that's an elite guy. Mahomes, elite guy. Tom Brady, elite guy. Those are kind of our last winners. But the idea, I mean, I thought Seattle was going to be really good last year. And going through the season, they started knocking off some wins. And I was like, this Seahawks team is actually kind of pretty good. I'm actually kind of really into this.
Holy catfish!
And then now we get to a point where it's not a window anymore for them. Now we're looking at John Schneider. Now we're looking at Les Snead. Now we're looking at John Lynch. We're looking at Buffalo, that these guys are now at a point where they refuse to say there isn't even a window because we are always going to be in this window. When was the last time you saw the Packers draft in the top 5?
I can't think it was in...
The last time I remember the Steelers drafting in the top 10, they drafted Ben Roethlisberger.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are teams, there are organizations that are like, we don't have down years. Look at the Patriots.
The Steelers drafting in the top 15 one time in my lifetime.
Look at the New England Patriots, okay? It hit the side of a mountain with Belichick. It was over. It was done. And everybody's like, oh, my God, how long is this going to take? Well, they hired a coach. It was a bad idea. They got rid of him, brought in Mike Vrabel, had a high draft pick, took a quarterback they hit on. We're in the Super Bowl. Sure, they didn't win, and yes, I think they're going to take a step back this year, but I don't think their window is open or closing. I think there are teams that just have consistent windows that aren't painted shut. Okay, the Browns windows, they're painted shut. You can get them open, but man, it's going to take some screwdrivers. It's going to take chipping some paint. It might mess up the structure of that window to get that thing open, but you can get there. There are ones that are just like...
See, that's the one where I'm going to push back on because I think just different from the NBA, there are less teams in the NFL that can have windows. Because if one team has a window, well, obviously the team in your other teams in your division, their window starts to shrink.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that in the NBA, there's a lot of, well, we have maybe 20 teams that got windows. The other 10, they're maybe playing just for seeding, this, that, the other. In the NFL, everyone has a window until they don't. And I think that, I don't know, that's what makes the NFL fun and competitive because you get teams that understand where their window is, and even if it's not this year, that's when by the end of the year you start seeing people going, okay, I don't want to be drafting in the top 10, or I do want to be drafting in the top 10. How do I fare out in this division? I guess I'm just more of the NFL's got a lot less dynasty in the sense. I think that teams can run it back, but it's also just a lot more difficult to run it back.
I think it's awesome that you brought up the NBA because there are definite windows in the NBA. It's so superstar dependent. It's so bench depth dependent. It's so you almost have to be bad at some point or sucker somebody into a deal to be able to get your window open. Mm-hmm. But you're right in the NFL. Let's take the Arizona Cardinals, for example, all right? Dumpster fire, right?
Can you say that they truly have a window?
No.
Can you say that the Miami Dolphins have a window?
No, but hear me out on this. What if Carson Beck hits? Okay? What if Jeremiah Love does play like Adrian Peterson? You got a tight end. You're still not going to win a lot this year. What if you find yourself in the top 5 again and you draft that kid out of LSU for your line? Okay? You go out and Marvin Harrison does take a step as a wide receiver. You go out and get a Vita Vea, you know?
We saw how quickly the New England Patriots jumped from a 3-win team to a AFC Championship winner.
And that's what I'm kind of saying is like a couple drafts. Now you got to hit, and it's easier said than done. But a couple drafts, a little free agency, and the right coach, hi Mike Vrabel, boom, you're in the Super Bowl. So there are definitely levels of windows. Okay, the window for the Chiefs is not as big as it once was, but I don't know if they have a window. I think it's more about, it's like, is this trail dusty? Are there branches overgrowing into the trail? Or is this concrete path that's monitored with streetlights?
How many potholes do I got to fill in this path?
Right. And I would argue the Rams, the Niners, the Seahawks, hell, even teams that haven't had a ton of success of late, your Steelers, the Packers, they have paved walkways. Now, they don't always get through them. Mm-hmm. There might be a houseless guy there to stop you. You might get mugged on the way, and Micah Parsons tears his knee. You know, you might have some issues, but those aren't windows. They're always willing to go.
Again, the wheels might fall off the track,
Sure.
But the track's still good.
Yeah, you might hit a stick and fly off into the bushes, but that's not because the path wasn't there. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting too hippy-dippy on this. I just feel like you can win in the NFL if you want to. And the reason the Browns window is painted shut is because there's no window to begin with.
I think you're right there.
But if the Miami Dolphins have the worst team in the NFL this year, which I think they will, if they draft Dante Moore number 1, and they find another way to get back in the first round, and some of this youth talent pays off, you get the right coach in there, you start investing in that offensive line, they can turn it around in 3 years. There's a long, hard path for Trevor Lawrence, but if Josh Allen doesn't don the cape, Jacksonville wins a playoff game last year. It can happen. Okay, the Bears have been relevant in my life for like 3 seasons of my entire life. I was born in 85, but that Super Bowl already happened before I was born.
And they space out a lot of their windows.
They are on a way that they could be something good right now. Hell, dude, the Jets, we gave them an A for their draft. Their defense is going to be good.
They've gone to an AFC championship in my lifetime.
They have. I think they've been to 2. So it's like, I just hold back on the window conversation. And I think to myself, everybody's got a chance. Let's dive into some MLS here. We'll have Brian Dunseth join us, MLS Apple TV. We'll take a peek at the Timbers as they take on LAFC this weekend. We'll do it next. That's Casey. I'm Patrick, 105.1 The Fan. Timbers will take on LAFC tomorrow on the road in Los Angeles. Kick at 7:30. Pre-game coverage starts at 6:30 right here on The Fan. Adam Sussman leading you into the program with Aaron Heinsohn and Fletcher Johnson on the call. Let's bring in Brian Dunseth of MLS Apple TV. Brian, thank you for joining us, man. I appreciate you. How are you this week?
I'm fantastic, my man. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I don't know if you've noticed, but this Portland Timbers team has become a little feisty over the last few days, especially coming back from World Cup break.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with Velda, right? He's the type of guy that you absolutely despise playing against, but for some reason you absolutely love when he's on your team. And what I love about him is that from day one, there's a sense of urgency. I mean, there's the competitiveness and the urgency and the willingness to battle, but it's almost like he has to manufacture this moment of confrontation. Mm-hmm. Like, all right, bro, I'm going to take you. I'm going to eat you alive. I'm going to light your tail on fire for the next 70 minutes. So right now the rumors, or at least the whispers around Kelsey and whatever that looked like in the past 10 days. And then on top of that, Marty Cifuentes, the new manager, a couple of new faces, a couple of different ideas, and probably most importantly, an opportunity to compete. And I think in particular, you're seeing Ariel Lassiter really thriving in this role that he's having right now in the run of the team. But yeah, it's a good time. And I think even in defeat on the road in Chicago, where there's obviously some mistakes, you're seeing a team that, whether it's physical rejuvenation or psychological rejuvenation, it seems as if the decision to move on from Phil Neville was the correct one for the Portland Timbers.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I want to go. Look, everybody loves Phil. Like, Phil is a great interview. He's really good with the media, especially with us locally. But it seemed like the course had run it, and it was time to kind of move on. When you look at Marty Cifuentes coming in, Jack Cassidy in the interim, is it a new coach bump that we see from time to time, or do you think there's something about Jack and now Marty that has found something that maybe Phil couldn't unlock with some of these players?
Yeah, let me be very clear, because I get nervous in this conversation because sometimes I get accused of, out the baby goes out with the bathwater when you make moves like this. Having been a player in this league and having played for God how many knows different managers, everybody does it differently, and that doesn't mean it's good. That doesn't mean it's bad. At the end of the day, these managers, much like Gio, we'll look back and have kind of this tenure of a time where we're like, yeah, I really liked him, but, or hey, man, incredible human being, but, and it inevitably it'll happen with Marty at some point down the line, right? I mean, look at what's happening with Pep Guardiola and Man City, and now we're getting to see behind the scenes with their new doc and everything that's happening with Enzo and all the now players kind of moving around. So it's never 100% perfect. There's always some type of adversity. It could be managing up or managing down. And the reality is that it's always going to be a struggle because how do you keep your general manager and your ownership group happy? And at the same time, keep in a group of players that are responsible for your livelihood as their coach and setting a tone where everyone's equal and accountable, and you're all pulling in the same direction. After a certain amount of time, things get fractured, and there's decisions that need to be made because it's easier to change the coach and the coaching staff than it is, on the long-term contracts and the depth of some of these rosters. So I think what I've always experienced as a player is that whether you're an absolute starter with a manager going out, or you are a fringe player that hasn't seen a lot of minutes, that's just super pissed off with your situation, at the end of the day, you're starting from scratch. And Jack's going to be the feel-good factor. It's going to be very simple. Come in, everybody's happy. Let's rah, pat on the back, a little smack on the butt. But now Marty's got to set the tone. And whether you talk about experience in Hammarby, you talk about experience at QPR, you talk about experience at Leicester City, good, bad, ugly, the philosophy of Jordi Cruyff, the Cruyff disciple, and La Masia idea of Spanish Barcelona type football. All of these things mean new training habits, new expectations, new competition. And I think in midseason, a lot of the time, that's a really, really good thing, dependent upon if you have the right group and you pick the right players.
He's Brian Dunseth of MLS Apple TV, and Brian, I want to you kind of teased a little bit that Kevin Kelsey situation. And, we don't want to speculate too much on it, but you're the Portland Timbers right now. You're sitting in 9th place. You're on 27 points. There's a lot of nice momentum going. The schedule is going to get tougher, but there are some nice spots in there. You're basically 2 wins out from hosting a playoff game. We don't know the full extent of the Brandon Bye injury. It looked bad. We can pray for the best, but it looked bad when I watched it the other night. The Kevin Kelsey rumors, look, you're already kind of thin at right back with Juan Mosquera out for the year. Pipe Mora's been moved on. How does a team like this approach a transfer window when you have an opportunity to maybe make some noise, but they might want to spend a bunch of money on one of your guys, but now you've lost depth somewhere else? How does this team navigate through this? If you're Ned Grabavoy, what are you trying to do?
Oh, you got to hope that you've had a laundry list and the communication and the relationships are already in play, and you've done your due diligence not only on the players that you're interested in, but as importantly, I think, going and talking to the strength and conditioning coach, go talk to the nutritionist, go talk to the rehab specialist, go talk to the team admin, because that's going to give you a much more realistic look at the person, not just the player. Because I think MLS has also jumped the shark. Gone are the days where you can just reach out to an agent and be like, give me your best player. Now you got to go into the details, and the devil is absolutely in the details, as you guys have seen up close and personal. Like when you're bringing in a guy, is he married? Is he single? What is there issues behind the scenes that we're unaware of? Is there a child being left behind in the country in which he's departing and coming? Can he settle in quickly? Does he speak English? Does he not speak English? How do we have to help outside of the game? Because ultimately, the player's happiness and full focus is going to be the most important. And you want to bring good dudes into the locker room. And everyone's going to do it differently, right? I mean, it can't be much more apparent than Evander's departure and David DaCosta coming in. 2 extraordinarily talented players, 2 players that are hybrids of the same position and yet drastically different with the way that they play. So all those things are challenging. If it's still the Ned that I know, he'll have an identifiable list of guys that are interested in. But in a similar aspect, and I can use Xavier Gozo on Salt Lake, that was a surprise to get that deal done over the line, because at some point the money talks. Just did the game the other night in Colorado against LAFC and Rafael Navajo. You got a cryptic post and you got rumors around Vasco da Gama. So it's not just Portland Timber, Glasgow Ranger, social media whisper about Kevin Kelsey. And I'm not surprised, right, with his player profile, his age, and right now on an absolute terror of a run in the last 3 months, that clubs around the world would be interested in his services. But you kind of point out to a really unique dynamic, and I think people are sometimes forgetting this is the last time this schedule is in play for Major League Soccer.
Yeah.
It's going to change drastically, adjusting to the world's window in the sprint season, and then aligning with everything else. So, yeah, I'd be fascinated to be a fly on the wall in those conversations between Ned and his group and Merritt, and ultimately what the decisions are looking like. Because the reality is that while MLS is still nimble and growing, and players will always have the affinity for playing Tuesday and Wednesday night, which is Champions League football, which means you can't do that in South America, you can't do that in Africa, you can't do that over in Saudi Arabia. Mm-hmm. That means you got to be on that European continent. And that means monopoly money could be at your doorstep for a couple of your players, and that could significantly disrupt what you're trying to do. And maybe that's the brilliance in signing Vincent Janssen the moment that they did.
Brian, let's flip this to the Timbers' opponent, LAFC. A very vocal fan base these days. Very angry fan base. Very angry fan base. High expectations in LAFC. I mean, they're kind of one of the diamond clubs. We get a little lucky up here in Portland, despite being a small market club. Merritt Paulson has always strove for excellence up here. Things have turned for them a little sour. What is it that when you see them, because you said you had their game against Colorado, what is it that you're seeing from them that is creating such struggles? Because on paper, this team's kind of loaded.
Yeah, it's really been the last 2 games. Tio Max and I, Max Bredos, Uncle Max is what I call him.
That's okay. We love Max here. Like, Max is an awesome friend of this program.
He's such a good dude, man. Talk about salt of the earth. Just a side note, I've called over 1,000 games with Max from the days of the old Fox Soccer Channel.
Yes.
And I am the luckiest guy in the business that Maxie and I are best friends. We love hanging out. We love our time in Portland. We love just the city and the atmosphere of the stadium. We love heading up there. Anyways, I digress. We've done the last couple LAFC games. We did the RSL game where they smashed them down at home. We did the Chivas game where I thought they were excellent. Then we did the San Diego game a week ago. And, man, San Diego did to LAFC at BMO Stadium what LAFC is used to doing to virtually everybody else. Mm-hmm. And then you go to Colorado, and it's kind of similar, where it's like transition. It's defending strong, but, transition moments, Denny Bouanga, Sung Hyung Man, blah, blah, blah. But there's a couple things at play. I think when you look back at that Colorado game, Colorado didn't participate in Leagues Cup, so they've only played 4 games. LAFC was playing their 8th game. There's rotation, there's expectation. They fell up short, like Portland, in advancing in the Leagues Cup. And so all of a sudden, on top of that, you combine that with, kind of John Thorrington and Marc Dos Santos doubling down on the idea of distancing themselves from the style of play underneath Steve Cherundolo was exceptionally successful. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden saying, well, we want the ball. We want to be the team that takes it to the opponents. Well, when you say that, that's music to the ears of the LAC supporters. But when San Diego has 70% possession in the first half and has created many goal-scoring opportunities, all of a sudden there's like that sense of urgency where it's like, well, are we just going to sit and absorb and try to keep a clean sheet and just transition? Or are we good enough to actually move teams around? And a lot of that has to do with the press and the front three, and are you defending zones, or you really attacking the ball, all of these things. So, yeah, right now it's a turbulent time online. Social, it is aggressive. Oof. And LAFC is in dire need of putting in a really strong performance at home. I don't think the lineup will look, well, I mean, they started Abobasi, they started Schaffelberg, and they started Boyd at Colorado. That was a clear indication that fatigue, both mental and physical, was an issue for Marc Dos Santos and LAFC the other night. But I expect, full strength, and hopefully sooner rather than later they get Igor Jesus back in the mix after he showed as a defensive midfielder. He was one of the best in MLS, and they need to get him back on track after recovering from this ACL injury.
It's Brian Dunseth of MLS Apple TV. Brian, I'll ask you one more question and let you get out of here. I know you got a busy day in front of you. Looking around at the rest of Cascadia, you know how near and dear this rivalry is to us up here. Boy, how things change real quickly when you get out of the World Cup, huh? Vancouver now living in a life of post-Sebastian Berhalter, which despite Vancouver being a rival of the Portland Timbers, I was really excited about the future of Berhalter in the MLS. And then the other reality is what's going on in Seattle. Look, LA fans might be as mad as they are about LAFC. They sit in third place on the table. The Sounders have lost 8 in a row and look just lost. What can you tell us about what's going on up there? Because I can't even describe it anymore.
Yeah, I'll start with Seattle. Listen, they might not want to hear this. This is probably music to Portland fans' ears. The reality is they're not the same club that was spending money on Obafemi Martins and Clint Dempsey and Nico Ladero and Raul Ruidiaz. It's a different team. And Garth and Adrian at the time were spending money. COVID, obviously the acquisition of the Reign. You've built an outstanding training facility. And in the midst of, and this is more a bigger conversation, but in the midst of, expansion slowing down, I think the next phase is multi-billion-dollar investment with multi-billion-dollar owners. I mean, out here in Salt Lake, I've watched 4 different billionaires own a piece of Real Salt Lake over the past 6 years. 4 primary occupant owners, from Deloy Hansen to David Blitzer to Ryan Smith, who now divested and went and took over the Mammoth and has the Jazz, and now the Miller Sports Entertainment Group. That's the future. I mean, that's just what it is. It's monopoly money being spent. So for Craig Weibel, the challenge is to build the best, quote-unquote, and I use this terminology lovingly, the best U.S. men's national team January camp you possibly can. And that meant going out and getting Jesus Ferreira and Paul Arriola and continuing to lean into the development. Obed's obviously a big loss. And I don't know how deep you want to get into, guys like Georgie Manungo or Josh Atencio or even those type of guys, but they've had to do their business differently. And then they're just unfortunately bit by a horrific injury bug, unlike anything I've ever seen. So the inability to go in and invest significant sums of money in your roster. Pedro de la Vega, perpetually injured. I feel horrible for that kid. He just can't even get on the field to stay fit. And then the run of form right now is as historic and horrific for Brian Smetzer as we've ever seen. So it's difficult to see them getting back on track, but if they get healthy, this is also the same team that was undefeated first 6 games of the season. To your point about Sebastian Berhalter, I'm unapologetic. I love him.
Yeah,
I think
too.
I'm so unlike Michael Bradley, who for some reason never got the respect he deserved, in my humble opinion. And it could have been a Bob thing. It could have been an idea of nepotism, whatever. The fact that Sebastian has completely divested and shed any conversations about his dad, either as a player or as national team manager, I think is brilliant. He's a great kid. He's an even better player. And Vancouver seems to be a great landing spot for a lot of guys in their second or third opportunity to kind of renegotiate the way that we look at them being as players. So huge loss. I think Jasper said something along the lines of, it's not about the physical side because he created his own engine room. It's more about the mentality that he brought every day. And I think sometimes that's very, very, very difficult. That becomes a very interesting leadership and, performance power vacuum that is sometimes hard to recreate over the course of the middle of the season.
Yeah, Sebastian in that famous Belgium loss, a lot of lack of effort in that game, not from that kid. He'll be missed in MLS for sure, but hopefully we see him in a USA uniform. He's Brian Dunseth of MLS Apple TV. Say hi to Max for us, and a little bit of news and notes being reported from the local media that Brandon Bye has in fact torn his ACL.
Yeah, it looked like it.
It looked bad. That non-contact stuff's always bad. Well, thanks, Brian. Again, give Max our love. We love him and you guys as well, and have a great weekend, okay?
Appreciate you. Have a good one.
Take care, buddy. That's Brian Dunseth of MLS Apple TV. A lot to digest from that. We'll take a quick break. We'll get back on the clock. We'll kind of react to some of that more next on 105.1, your home of the Portland Timbers, The Fan.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
First on The Fan, some NFL preseason matchups for you as we have 3 games for you tonight. The Pittsburgh Steelers will face off against the New York Jets at 4 p.m. The Carolina Panthers and the Jaguars will kick off at 4:30. And wrapping up our preseason slate of the day will be the Green Bay Packers as they face off against the Denver Broncos. Some more NFL news for you as Seattle Seahawks wide receiver Jake Bobo has suffered a knee injury. Bobo was reportedly carted off the field moments ago in Nashville and could potentially miss some serious time. Over to the WNBA as your Portland Fire are back on the road taking on the Toronto Tempo inside Rogers Arena. Tip-off set for 7 p.m. as you can catch all of tonight's coverage over on 9:10 a.m. when pregame starts at 6:45. And finally, your Portland Timbers are back in action tomorrow night taking on LAFC on the road. Kickoff is set for 7:30, but make sure to tune in right here on 105.1 FM and 1080 AM when pregame starts at 6:30. And for more sports scores and stories in 30 minutes, I'm Laura Case from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt, missing work? Insurance companies acting like jerks? Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at WarrenAllen.com.
Your home for Seahawks.
Bashir plays it across. Lassiter goal! Jimmer Foley, his 4th assist of the season. Ari Lassiter scores, and the Timbers are back in front in the 51st minute.
The Firm of Harris and Meringue on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Good stuff from Brian Dunseth, and he gets to hang out with Max Bretos, so he's got a better job than any of us, so I'm jealous of him, and I want to thank him for jumping on the show. We'll get back a little on the clock. Just a little bit of reactions from that. Again, the news, really, the big breaking news coming out of training today, being reported by Adam Sussman, who does great work for us here, and his own stuff. You should definitely check out his content. It's For my money, it's some of the best content out there, if not the best, when it comes to your Portland Timbers. He is reporting that it was confirmed by Martí Cifuentes that Brandon Bye's got a torn ACL. I believe it's his left knee. It stinks for him. He's been a solid stalwart there at right back. That leaves with no Juan Mosquera. That leaves it Eric Miller, most likely to start on Saturday. Look, next guy up mentality is kind of the thing you say, but boy, losing Brandon Bye is a real tough one. He tore his ACL 2 years ago, so now he'll have both of them repaired.
The second ACL since 2023.
Yeah, and he's
That's
over
really
30. He's over 30, so T's and P's up to Brandon Bye. I do. There's a really interesting text on the text line that I do want to get to, and we're just going to push a bunch of stuff around. And I'll get to that next. I'll tease this up for you. It's a serious question. I know maybe with contracts it works better to be on Premier League schedule, but isn't watching soccer in the summer better than going versus football in America? I'm not sure of what the schedule is. I could look it up, but how will teams like Minnesota play and draw fans when it could be winter weather? Or does the Premier League end in fall and only stopped because of the World Cup? That's an excellent question. I'll walk you through all that. We'll do that next for Web Gems, everybody's favorite, 105.1 The Fan.
The new home of the Portland Timbers is the Fan Sports Network.
Here's a floated ball, header from Kelsey, and a goal!
It's everybody's favorite Web Gems. Do it every single day at 11:45. Coming up in the Big Nooner, we'll talk a little bit of fifth years in college sports. If they could just figure this out. You will have a chance to vote in the Heisman plus closing arguments. But more importantly, at the top of the Big Nooner, Casey and I will unveil our attire for Danny Marang's wedding on Sunday. I'm feeling pretty good about it. I am pretty good at tying a tie. Are you good at tying a tie?
I got good at it in the last few years.
Yeah. So, spoiler alert, there are ties. We are wearing ties because we are fancy around here. But Web Gems today is brought to you by a little crossover from this last conversation. This listener texted in, I know maybe with contracts it works better to be on a Premier League schedule, but isn't watching soccer in the summer better than going versus football in America? And it's really funny that you asked that, the timing of that, because Brandon Sprague and I were actually texting about that yesterday. Brian Dunseth mentioned this. Jake Zivin and I have gone on about this. Any person that I have talked to, Fletcher Johnson, Max Bretos, you name it, Kalen Kyle, you name whoever's been on this program, we've asked over the year about that. It is important to get in the same timeline as everybody else. The Premier League, most everybody in the world, their season starts in August. In fact, the Premier League starts today at noon. Arsenal, reigning champs, they'll take on Coventry at noon. That they go throughout the entire winter, and their season ends in mid-May. Champions League is sprinkled throughout then, and their final is usually around Memorial Day. It's kind of after the regular season has ended, and most leagues around the world do the same thing. To get online with that allows you to be in these situations where if you do find out that Brandon Bye has torn his ACL, it lines you up at the same time that everybody is looking to sell and or buy their players. Otherwise, you're doing 3 times the work of anybody else simply because your season is different. Now, the conversation about MLS versus NFL is, I know what you're getting at, and college football, and that's the convo Brandon and I had via text. I get it. I get it completely. And something that I said to Brandon was, it's going to be very difficult for the MLS to grow when they do go up against the NFL and college football. Now, there is a break that the MLS is going to take in mid-November into January because, to use Minnesota as this texter uses as an example, you do not want to play MLS regular season games in Minnesota in December. I've seen a U.S. men's national team game in Colorado, and it was dumping snow. You don't want that. It snows sometimes in Premier League games, but very rarely. But it can be cold and rainy, and they play throughout the whole year. As much as I think it will stunt the growth of the MLS to put them up against the NFL and college football, another unfortunate reality is a lot of MLS fans aren't NFL fans.
That's where I think that it will work out.
The Venn diagram doesn't
quite cross
overlap.
all the time.
And so now what excites me is in February on a Saturday, I can catch Liverpool at United at 9:30 on a Saturday and then get to Providence and see the Timbers versus LAFC at 7:30.
Or say you have a bad, if you're an SEC fan and your team goes and plays the Citadel this weekend,
right?
Then I get the opportunity to go, okay, I'm going to go watch my Timbers play on Saturday, and Sunday I still get my NFL. So you're either doubling up or you're picking one.
Yeah, I kind of the question I asked him let's see, a late February, March, April end of MLS season game, and his response was that Super Bowl, NBA trade deadline, NBA playoffs. So it's like, I think people, and this is not, I'm not doxing or throwing grief shade at Sprague by any means, but that was part of the conversation, is that American sports fans are going to find that other thing in more traditional American sports to cling on to. Because I asked him, I said, what about, let's see, would you watch Louisiana versus USC on a Saturday in September at night instead of a Timbers game on the road against a team battling for similar playoff position? He asked, is that the only college football game on? And I said, no, later you'll get Arkansas at Utah. definitely college football.
I think I lean in the football camp as well.
And that's the situation. And I was like, Arkansas is picked dead last in the SEC. They are not going to be very good.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to be good at all. His response was, Utah beating Arkansas would be huge for Morgan Scalley and really draw eyeballs about the SEC. While he's not wrong in any way, shape, or form, I hear that and go, there will always be a reason to choose the football over football. And maybe the MLS looks at it and says, you know what? We can't win that battle, so let's not try.
So let me just get in the slice of the pie. When people start switching off of games, let's hope that we're the team in the game that they switch on to.
Mm-hmm. And to this texter's point, Major League Soccer already takes place at the same time as the NFL. It just depends on when you want them to cross over. The beginning of the season or the end of the season during your playoffs. I like the move to align with Europe. And I'm kind of that way too, because let me tell you what, man, after the Super Bowl in February, sure, I like a lot of college basketball, but nobody really watches until the tournament. Does March NBA really get me going? Not yet. We're getting close for sure.
We're getting there.
And maybe that's because I live here and the Blazers can be a struggle over the last decade in that time.
The Atlanta Hawks won and did not lose in the entire month of February this past year. Well, they lost to the team that won the NBA Finals.
Yeah. So I still
what does that really tell me?
Yeah, I still think you can sprinkle in. It just depends on if you want. And to use someone like Brandon, not Sprague specifically, but someone like that, you have to choose if it's worth your time. And if it's not worth your time, it's not worth mine to sit here and try to convince you that it is. I'll ask the questions. Would you rather watch Louisiana, the University of Louisiana versus USC on a Saturday night with nothing else really going on? If your answer is yes, and Arkansas at Utah, which is going to be an extremely bad bloodbath if you're an Arkansas fan, if your answer is yes, then there's nothing I can say to move you that way. I'm just not going to change your mind. Yeah, as
I think that's just kind of the stance that the MLS is really taking.
Mm-hmm.
Is I'm not here to change your mind. I'm just here to give you the other option. I think that's where the MLS wants to be.
Mm-hmm. I love this comment on the YouTube. American football fans aren't going to watch MLS over their sport regardless. The only way MLS is going to get more eyeballs is if the on-field product is better, and the change does that. And that was Sprague's point in our text as well. He was like, Americans want to watch the best. And until it can be the best, then it's going to be hard for that crossover. Mm-hmm. Now, the good news is this will help the on-field product get better by getting in line with everybody else. It will. But again, if you're not going to watch, I can't sit here and convince you to do it. And I'm not going to try. I will give you reasons. I will give you ideas. I will challenge you. But I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to say, oh, you're the problem with this because you just want to watch bad football. Blah, blah, blah. No, man. It's the truth. Football's king. Football's king.
Especially here.
Football's king. But my challenge to everybody, when it comes to that Louisiana USC game, Arkansas, Utah, flip over. You know, if Utah goes up 21-0 in the first quarter, do you really need to watch Arkansas for the SEC eyeballs? For Morgan Scalley? Like, do you really need to? Flip over, watch the Timbers. They're taking on Dallas. Looking at the 5 or 6 seed. Who gets home field, who doesn't? You know, that's my challenge. And if you don't want to, then don't.
And every game has implications if you want to highlight them.
Mm-hmm.
But which implications do we care about more?
Yeah.
And that's going to change week to week.
Yeah. The product will get better. But to Dunst's point, as we were talking about, you can't lose guys like Sebastian Berhalter, especially Americans. If you've developed Americans in the MLS, you got to keep them here. And look, I understand if you're Ned, if you're Merritt Paulson over at the Timbers, if somebody comes in and wants $12 million for Kevin Kelsey, $15 million, you have to take it. It sucks. It stinks. Because the only way the MLS is going to get better if they say no and keep Kevin Kelsey and let him be a striker here for a decade. Unfortunately, that's not where they are yet. I believe they'll get there. The schedule change is the first step. Ready to put some clothes on?
Let's do it.
Danny Marang's getting married on Sunday, and Casey and I have decided what we're going to wear, and we'll bring that to you next. Big Nooner, 105.1 The Fan. 2 down, 1 to go. Here, it's the Big Nooner on the Firm of Harris and Meringue. We do this bad boy every single Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Thank you for being a part of our day. We are stoked to be a part of your day. After us, it's Duck Insider from 1 to 2, and then the Fan Happy Hour with Luke Anderson from 2 to 3, and then it's Prime Time from 3 to 7. You get a little bit of Casey, a little bit of Stevie Fire tonight, and a little bit of fun interviews as both Isaac and Suk are out gallivanting on the town. 13 hours of live, local, continuous, regional sports talk radio. More importantly, here we are in the Big Nooner. Daniel Meringue is getting married on Sunday. Casey and I will both be in attendance, and we've decided what to wear. We are donning that for you right now. If
You
I'm,
can put it on the board.
as one might say in my position, if I'm even around.
Christopher Robin would be very happy.
I think Christopher Robin would be very, very happy in us. For those of you in Radio Land, I am donning an Eeyore suit. Lowercase over there is Tigger. I do believe these were the most apropos choices.
Hey,
You being Tigger, me being Eeyore.
We're wearing ties, so we're at least dressed for the occasion.
I am wearing a tie. I almost was able to tie the tie with my mitten hands because Eeyore is a donkey, correct?
That is correct. A burro, if you will.
A burro? A Joe Burrow?
Why? I'm already wearing Bengals colors. Don't do that to me.
I'll tell you what, man, it's hot in here.
Yeah, it did get a little bit toasty a little bit too quick.
It did get a little toasty. I haven't even seen it yet. Do we look good? Oh, hey, look at that.
I think we're looking pretty snazzy.
You know, good old Eeyore. Who is your favorite Winnie the Pooh character?
It's got to be Piglet.
Piglet?
It's got to be Piglet.
I think mine is Pooh. Do you feel like you're yelling right now?
A little bit.
I feel like I'm yelling. Well, my headphones are over.
The headphones over the ears, I had to make the quick change because it is a little bit of a disaster.
A little bit, yeah. My like eye is itching too.
So this is the wedding attire.
This is the wedding attire. What's going to be great is when we have to pick up beverages with these giant mittens,
Holding wine glasses with
like
no opposable thumbs.
holding things like this and trying to take a drink. Yeah, it's going to be an absolute disaster. I'm here for it. Now, what I think would be the coolest thing is if like your girl and my girl just showed up in like dime piece cocktail dresses.
Which is most likely going to be the case.
Most likely going to be the case to begin with us looking like this. Uh-oh. Now my phone doesn't work.
Kept trying to use the phone and the mittens.
My wife just texted me, "Oh my goodness."
Yeah, this is a good one.
I think my favorite character is Winnie the Pooh. I think Pooh is my favorite.
See, I've been teasing all week that I will be Winnie the Poohing it at Danny's wedding. Mm-hmm. Well, this is what you get.
Yeah, this is about as close as it comes. Now, I almost was able to tie my tie with these mitten things on. IT Dan out there was like, if you can tie that tie with those mittens on, I will be impressed. I didn't.
Pretty impressive.
I found a spot that I can take my hands out of the mittens, and that's where I was able to do it. But I did tie a tie in like 10 seconds.
So you want the origin story of where I got these?
Please, hit me.
So when I was maybe 1 or 2 years old, so my parents, they went as, again, we all went as the cast of Winnie the Pooh. My little brother, my brother, when he was little, he wore a smaller Tigger costume. I had a Winnie the Pooh hat that just had the ears. But this is what my grown father wore to my first Halloween.
So these are kind of like Christopher Robin would be really proud.
Yes, but these are also borderline furry costumes because they are for adults.
Yeah, the Morning Boys, they definitely thought we were wearing furry. They thought we were furries.
Swag asked if I brought my laundry in, and I went, it's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. They very much looked at us very strangely this morning. But hey, I'm into it. I just saw one of our great sales associates, AEs, walk by, the great Paulina, and she just looked in here, and I bet you she thinks I am absolutely nuts.
Well, yeah, we're not sane people.
Yeah, these are pretty nice costumes, though.
Comfy. I used to slide around the hardwood floors and let my dog chase me in this one.
Joe Fisher's laughing. Hey, these work. Dude, the worst part about this, Casey, is now I kind of actually want to show up to Danny's wedding.
The thing is that me and you could pull this off.
I think we could.
We could easily pull this off, and Danny would probably end up being okay with it.
Yeah, I don't know about Mrs. Meringue, though.
No, that's the issue.
Yeah.
That's the biggest issue.
Do you think they're watching right now?
No, there's no chance. I bet someone is sending them screenshots. I bet Rufio is texting them right now going, well, look what you're missing out on.
Now there is
sports in these all hour?
Now there is a big issue with these. If we're at a wedding and we start drinking, I don't know how to pee.
Just don't zip it up in the back.
Well, mine's not zipped up, but still I would have to like take the whole thing down anyway.
Yeah, that is logistically we have a bit of a nightmare here.
Now, do we do the whole hour in these costumes?
We'll see how far we can get.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll make it out of the
I don't
commercial
know.
break.
The ears are already starting to heat up a little bit.
Yeah. Although I did say I would never wear purple, and I am wearing some purple right now.
Put it on the board.
But it's for the bit.
You can put it on the board.
It's for the
Said
bit.
he wouldn't gamble, said he wouldn't golf, said he wouldn't wear purple. 2 out of 3. We're going to get you to shoot a gun.
Yeah, no, you're not. I'm being told on the YouTube we could just wear Depends. Can you imagine if we just pooped and peed ourselves at the wedding while in Winnie the Pooh costumes?
This is pre or post ceremony.
Concurrent.
That's a problem. That's a real problem.
What could we do at this wedding that would cause Danny Meringue to never return? If he was
Probably
just
a
like,
lot of things.
my career be damned, I will never be in the same area with you two again.
I think we'd actually have to Winnie the Pooh it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if we rocked it with it out, yeah, that'd be a problem.
But get a shirt just long enough that it does cover.
Again, your 3 sock idea from yesterday that you brought up with Stephen Vaughn, I think that would do it.
Well, they would tell you to leave.
Wearing Shaden Sharp jerseys.
Yes.
That was from Ryland on the YouTube.
We should have worn Shaden Sharp jerseys. I can't get a PDX Carpet Shaden Sharp jersey in time. If someone could get me a Shaden Sharp PDX Carpet jersey before Sunday at 5:45, I will wear that to the wedding. I'll wear it under. That way I can pull it out and just
Like
be like,
Superman.
Yeah, Superman dad. That would be fantastic. That would be fantastic.
How long are we going to sports in these for?
I don't know, man. I'm willing to give it a shot.
I'll start wearing this to Beaver games in the future.
The problem is you get really, to like pull the curtain back here in radio, you get really used to what things sound like when you have headphones on, and it sounds very, very different for me right now. I feel like I'm yelling. Like I can hear you, but the way I hear myself is very, very different, and it's kind of freaking me out.
Because everything's like an extra set of muffled underneath the headset.
Somebody just told me $60 on Facebook Marketplace in Gresham for a Shaden Sharp jersey. $60?
Sign me up.
Yeah, what size is it? Oh, I hope it's like a medium.
Put him in the schmedium.
Yeah. Get my belly hanging. What kind of food do you think we're going to have at this wedding, huh?
That's what I've been speculating about this all week. Do you think we're going to be eating boy kibble like Danny prepares for himself every single day? Or are we actually going to get some good sides?
I kind of want to see the boy kibble just to like giggle and laugh about it. But with how much we talk about food on this program, like there better be some good food.
There better be some good quality food. We do it once a day.
Apparently it's a medium and an extra large in Gresham. Can you wear a medium?
I can wear a medium.
Oh, I can definitely wear an XL.
You've got a guy.
What would be if we could dress up as real people? Who should we dress up to go to Danny's wedding with as?
Ooh, that's a good one. Like, what's my intention here? Am I trying to get under someone's skin? Am I trying to blend in?
Oh, we're trolling.
Ooh. Shaden Sharp would probably be the best
Shaden Sharp's
one.
pretty good.
That's up there.
I think Justin Herbert sits high on my list.
Maybe a Miles Jack jersey?
See, he kind of looks down at UCLA, so it doesn't offend him as much.
That's why I'm also hesitant.
Ooh, I got one. Brady Quinn.
Nailed it.
The text line.
Oh, Jerome Bettis.
The text line hitting me with Mom Donnie. That would be pretty good.
Should we get him a Rudy jersey?
Yes.
The Rudy Rudiger Notre Dame?
Yes, without a doubt.
That would be money.
Without a doubt. The ghost of Paul Allen. We could be the ghost of Paul Allen. Nah, dude, I like Eeyore. I want to go as Eeyore.
Give him a Neil O'Shea painting.
I know. Goomba, if you are listening right now, I would like to advocate that we wear these to the wedding, but I can't do it without your permission. Okay, babe? I'm gonna need you to say yes to this.
We're gonna need some support here. We're not just flying off the cuff.
And if you play your cards right, babe, a little late night frisky.
I'm gonna get him back after the wedding. You're not taking it home.
Oh, I'll put it through the wash, man. I'll clean it up.
It might be dry clean safe.
I'll clean it up for you.
You better.
That's what we're wearing to the wedding, guys. Casey Smith is Tigger. Patrick Harris as Eeyore. Christopher Robin is stoked. Winnie the Pooh is getting married on Sunday. When we come back, 5 years in college football. Is that enough or is it not enough? And when does it stop? And when will someone think of the children? Next, 105.1 The Fan. Premier League underway. Arsenal already up 1-0 on Coventry in the 19th minute. In the opening day, Joe Fisher walking by just shaking his head at me right now. I am enjoying, for the next hour, I would love for you to text in 503-864-6326 or over on the YouTube chats who we could dress up as that would upset him the most. We got a James Harden in on the text line. Laurel and Hardy / Olshay and Jody has been floated out there. Also, the one I've got the best right now, though, that is probably my leader in the clubhouse, is No Told Tina Kotek. If we showed up to the wedding dressed as Tina Kotek, Danny might kick us out.
It'd be worth it.
I also do love Mamdani.
These are all killers.
They are all killers.
These are all good.
Mamdani, I wouldn't have to shave the mustache. I would just draw the rest of the beard in. So that's a plus. I like Mamdani in a shock to nobody. Oh, goodness. A lot to get to this hour. We will get into the Heisman situation, closing arguments, a minor league player getting the nod this weekend, so we'll touch in on that. Plus, take a peek around everywhere else. But in honor of Football Friday, let's get back to American football. The 10th Circuit has granted the NCAA's stay request in Judge Sweeney's nationwide injunction, allowing the class of 2020 athletes their fifth season availability. Now a court says no, they can't. This is something that's going back and forth. Everybody's kind of had their statements in it. It is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know how you could quantify this in your brain, that there are people that are leaving NFL training camps to enter the portal.
You couldn't cut it, dude.
Yeah, man.
That's your window.
That's it.
That's it.
And that's got to be, I mean, look, eligibility be damned. Like, eligibility, we can figure out what that's going to look like down the road, okay? No red shirts, everyone gets 5 years.
Again, there's a lot of gray area in that, and that's what creates all the issues, but why are we giving 25-year-olds another shot to play in college football?
And that's the thing. And look, if you want to make it that everybody gets 5 years, if you want to make it that you can only transfer once, transfer twice, look, whatever you guys decide on, I'm going to have to live with, so I don't care. But the second you step foot in an NBA G League, the second you step foot in NFL preseason camp, you're done.
What's the difference
You're
between
done.
you taking an internship in any other field?
Yeah.
What's the difference? I mean, just it baffles me that we have to bend the rules for kids who couldn't cut it. Really?
I don't even know if it's that they can't cut it. I think it's just that you've made your choice.
But why are they coming back? Because they didn't get the opportunity that they wanted, so they're trying to go back and reestablish and add more to their resume? That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting. Like, I know in basketball, Gonzaga's got two fifth-year players coming back. Will they actually get better looks going into the NBA? Then that'll be remain to seen. Because if that is the case, to your point, Casey, if that is something that does benefit their value and does move them on, then everyone's going to do it.
You're telling me there was a guy last year that played for Arkansas named Monty Harrison who was 30 years old? What?
Absolutely not.
What are we doing here?
Absolutely not.
It just does not make any sense to me.
No. Can't have that in any way, shape, or form. And that's all it is. Like, we talk about college football in this world like all the time, like the Wild West and how it needs so much structure. It needs structure, and whatever you want to figure out that structure is, like, look, I don't care. Just do it. Just find your structure. But again, man, when you walk off campus and you walk into that professional world, that's when you got to be done. It used to be the rule if you hired an agent, you couldn't go back.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's different because of NIL, and I'm cool with that. I accept that. You hire an agent. You should hire an agent.
Again, the Tennessee player that's getting – is it Tennessee? The player that's getting suspended for paying back the money that he spent on a flight because of the situation that we're going through?
But a guy at the NFL training camp can go into the transfer portal? Look, I think you should be able to hire an agent because there's so much money at stake that you need somebody kind of advocating for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got no issue with that. I think that's a great idea.
100%.
But where's the new, you hired an agent, you're ineligible now? There has to be something like that. Because in the past, you would have to like dabble in the draft and see what they think of you on your own and then decide if you want to go back or not.
So of these players that are in the lawsuits, how many of them have any sort of time left on their eligibility clock? That's what I'm really curious about.
Say that again.
Of the players that are listed on the lawsuits, how many of them have time left on their eligibility clocks?
I don't know.
That's if the question is these guys got cheated out of their fifth year. Okay, that's a question. But these guys are declaring for the NFL draft, going through NFL training camps, figuring out that they're not at the elite level that these NFL practice squad or training camp guys are, and then you want to run it back? It just makes no sense to me. What's the point of leaving in the first place if you're just going to run it back?
Also, like, how bad does this look for college football as well, or college basketball for that matter, if you can't, yeah, to your point, but try to look at it from this.
If you're not getting guys NFL ready.
Yeah, no, that's not what I was going to say. That if you can't cut it in the NFL or the NBA, you're just going to go back and water down college football.
That too.
You know? Now, if this is like, if college football were truly like AAA and the majors, it would make more sense. Hey, I want to make it to the bigs, and they're like, we're going to send you back down to the minors. That makes sense. But college football, as much as we all know that college football is the unofficial developmental league of the NFL, they don't like being called that. They don't want to be viewed that way. They want to be viewed that as, you know, Saturday and traditions and alma maters and 1945 and all that stuff. They want to keep all that with themselves. They don't want to be looked at, if you can't hack it in the NFL, then you play here. But that's what it'll start down. That's the path you'll start walking down.
And once again,
it'll make college football look worse.
Once again, the integrity of the institutions is now up for grabs.
Yeah, Dan Hurley's not stoked about it. He says you can't act like it's not a victimless situation. I mean, there are kids that are 17, 18 years old that potentially may lose out on opportunities, so it's not victimless.
That's crazy to me.
At some point, you got to care about the sport, especially if the sport has given you a lot. Look, man, I do not want 24-year-olds playing college basketball. I don't.
Nope.
I don't.
I don't need 30-year-olds playing college football.
No, I mean, look at Donovan Clingan right now, okay? He would still have a year left of eligibility at UConn. I don't need to see Donovan Clingan in college basketball.
If he wanted to stay and he wanted
Sure.
to be drafted higher and gain and grow his value, okay.
Sure.
But you left.
But there are certain peaks. Like when you get to a point that it's time to be a lottery pick in the NBA, look, I would love it if guys were forced to stay in college basketball for 4 years. I think it would be amazing.
How many games did Peyton Watson play at UCLA?
You said it yesterday, 16?
I believe it was less than that.
Yeah.
But again, that's my point. That's a guy that left early and could make it because he made the jump.
And as much as I wish Cooper Flagg would have stayed in college for another year, after watching him in the NBA, dude, I don't need to see him in college. That ass ain't fair.
I'm with you there.
That ass ain't fair at all. And it's just, I don't know what it's going to take for the NCAA and college football just as a whole to kind of step in and say no. Because the reality is, if you don't get what you want, you just go find another judge. And that judge, you find one until somebody gives you what you want. And if somebody doesn't give you what you want, you complain and mope around until you go find somebody that does.
It just sounds like we're moving away from the development of players.
Yeah,
Again,
dude.
If you want to let a 25-year-old transfer who's coming back and has another year of eligibility because of a lawsuit, if you want to give him the opportunity over the 17-year-old kid fresh out of high school who is just ready to take on every opportunity possible because it's a clean slate, cool. That's your choice. But don't get angry at us when it ultimately doesn't pan out and you have a 25-year-old wide receiver and stuff ends up blowing up in your face.
I know. Brandon Finney, okay? Let's take him for example. What is he, 19, 20 years old? You're going to let a fifth-year wide receiver line up against him because he's 20 years old? I don't know. As Deal says on the text line, you graduated. Stop going to high school parties. It's a great point.
Brandon Finney's 19.
19. Yeah, dude. But then this other texter brings up a great point. The reason this works is because Indiana won a natty with a roster full of 25-year-olds. You got to find the goalposts. You got to figure out the brackets, the parentheses, something that's just going to hold it together instead of just finding something, some new way to cheat the system, some new way to find somebody that says what you're doing is okay. You got to figure it out. Otherwise, we're going to start laughing at you. You know? The NFL pisses me off a lot because I feel like they change the rules too much. And we have too much up to interpretation.
But we don't ever not take the NFL seriously.
Exactly, because the NFL will never do something that affects the integrity of their game. This affects the integrity of college sports. Okay? I think this is way worse than paying players. I think this is way worse than paying players.
Where does this sit for you in terms of the Brendan Sorsby situation? Is this worse than Brendan Sorsby and or guys gambling on the game?
Yeah, because the Brendan Sorsby situation turned out correct. Like, he's not playing. And it's setting a precedent that if you do that, you're not going to play either. So, yeah, I think this is a bigger deal because we now know that even though Sorsby was granted by a judge that was paid off by Texas Tech that he could play, he inevitably is not playing. And the NFL was like, we're good as well. So that did build some circumstances and some context to the situation. Precedent.
Mm-hmm.
This is just continuing again to find more and more reasons to beat the system and move stuff around. And that's dangerous.
Are we going to get 32-year-old rookies?
That's what I mean, dude.
Like, I keep joking and I keep getting older and older with every age, but do I need to see a 40-year-old rookie?
Out of high school, I got a construction job and I didn't go to college, okay? And I worked that construction job and I played on, pickup softball leagues and played at YMCA basketball games. And then I turned 27 and was like, dang, man, I'm in great shape and I have no eligibility left. Like, that's the kind of stuff you're going to see. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's how you'll kill your sport, honestly. I don't mean to sound crazy or hyperbole.
It's going to start pushing kids' eligibility clocks back. I think what kids are going to do is they're going to start taking more gap years. They're going to start reclassifying to different classes. Mm-hmm. That if I'm a freshman in college and the guys across me are also freshmen, but they're 3 years older than me, I'm going to have to figure out something so I can get my time back, so I can get that growth that I need in the time that I'm here.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Good luck out there. It's a dangerous world out there. When we come back, hey, you get a vote, though. That's pretty rad, I guess. I'm taking this thing off. I'm too hot.
I'm cooking.
Yeah, I'm cooking as well.
I've turned the AC on and I'm still cooking.
A little bit of Heisman chatter next. That's Casey over there with sports.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
This sports update is brought to you by Reynolds Defense Firm. If you've been arrested for a DUI, you need a team of attorneys that you can put your trust into. Call Reynolds Defense Firm today, online at reynoldsdefensefirm.com. First on the Fan, some NFL preseason matchups for you today, as we have 3 games for you tonight. The Pittsburgh Steelers will face off against the New York Jets at 4 p.m. The Carolina Panthers and the Jaguars will kick off at 4:30. And wrapping up our preseason slate is the Green Bay Packers as they take on the Denver Broncos. Some more NFL news for you, as the Seattle Seahawks wide receiver Jake Bobo has suffered a knee injury. Bobo was reportedly carted off the field moments ago in Nashville and could potentially miss some time. Over to the WNBA as your Portland Fire are back on the road taking on the Toronto Tempo inside Rogers Arena. Tip-off set for 7 p.m. as you can catch all of tonight's coverage over on 9:10 a.m. when pregame starts at 6:45. And finally, your Portland Timbers are back in action tomorrow night taking on LAFC in Los Angeles. Kickoff is set for 7:30, but make sure to tune in right here on 105.1 FM and 1080 AM when pregame starts at 6:30. And for more sports scores and stories in 30 minutes, I'm Laura Case from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt, missing work? Insurance companies acting like jerks? Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Sports Saturday with Joe.
Closing arguments coming up next to send you on your way and into your weekend. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend out there. We will report back on Monday for the meringue wedding, and no holds bar on that. I hope there's a fight. Not involving me. I don't want that.
You throwing fisticuffs?
No. I'm the last guy to do that. But doesn't mean I don't want it to happen. I mean, dude, everybody loves watching a fight.
Good old fight.
Good old fights, dude.
Always good.
Always good
One of
fights.
my favorite things to do when I open up my Twitter is just see what the craziest fight I can find is.
I don't know if I've ever seen a fight at a wedding.
I don't think I have either.
I mean, I've seen
I feel like that's a pretty bad place to have a fight.
I've seen bridesmaids say things like, if you know the groom, and trust me, I know the groom.
Yeah, little digs go, but
No, that wasn't a dig. Someone yelled from the background, that's because you bleeped her.
oh,
Yeah, like I've seen some stuff like that.
from the top rope stuff.
I've seen adult-aged siblings wet themselves.
Okay.
I have seen vomiting.
Yeah, that's a common one.
I've seen grooms drugged at their wedding.
That's a new one.
Yeah. I've seen a lot, but I don't think I've seen a fight.
Yeah,
I've seen like mother and father of the bride who are no longer together anymore. Sometimes give each other the eyes.
again, weird
Seen
interactions.
some of that.
Like the intense interactions, that's a different, but a full-on fight where people are getting held back, that's a new one.
Dude, that'd be
That
awesome.
would be a new one.
That would be awesome. What are the chances that in 48 hours you and I are not allowed to go to this wedding?
It could be we could get a text message that could easily say weather inclement, and we're the only two
But
recipients.
it's only to us. Brand man shows up and he's like, oh, did you tell them they couldn't come? It's
Preschool and My Lady are still able to go.
Yeah.
Both of us just get barred at the front door.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll take a peek around the closest bar to the wedding venue, and we'll just hang up there.
If it's walking distance, we'll still make do.
We surveyed college football fans, and they told us clearly that they want more data on more players and more ways to engage with the Heisman Trophy throughout this season. That is Heisman CEO Jeff Price. By the way, I would love to be the CEO of the Heisman. Like, what do? You got to make sure a trophy's there. You got one event to set up. You get a marketing team to do your Dr. Pepper and Nissan commercials.
And everyone else is already voting on it all year, so all you're doing is just tallying votes.
That's all you're doing. I could tally the votes myself. Every player who steps onto the field this fall begins the season as a Heisman hopeful with the chance to earn the award on the field of play, unless your name is Reggie Bush. This platform, working hand in hand with schools, helps us shine a light on those players and bring their stories all season long. What this is this time of year, this time around, voters can vote daily with the weights of the votes shifting throughout the season. We're creating a methodology to dynamically weight fans' votes based on data observed throughout the seasons. While
and
fans,
how impactful will that fan vote be?
I think it's just a vote.
All the fans in the world, you get one vote.
While fans will be allowed to vote each day throughout the season, CMSAC, which is Carnegie Mellon Sports Analytics Center, which assists the Heisman with the voting process, will guide how much weight to give votes each week. The winner of the fan vote will be unveiled live on ESPN on the weekend of conference championship. The player ranking first, second, and third will be logged as the first official Heisman ballot. Would you like to know what the ballot would be if it was last year?
Hit me.
Third place, Indiana's Fernando Mendoza.
Interesting.
He won the thing. Number 2, Nebraska's Emmett Johnson, finishing second.
Nebraska.
Okay.
Okay.
Number 1, the person who won the fan vote, is honestly somebody that I may have voted for if I had a vote. In fact, I think I said last year I would have voted for him if I had a vote. That was Texas Tech linebacker Jacob Rodriguez.
I am also on record saying that I would have voted for him as well.
Yeah, I really liked him. I really wanted him to win the Heisman, and in a world where it's always quarterbacks, it would have been cool because I thought he was the heart and soul of that defense, even though, guys went higher than him in the draft from that Texas Tech defense.
There were higher linebackers
Sure.
drafted up as well.
Yep, hire linebackers and hire people from your own team, sure, but that's the beauty of college football, is you get guys like Jacob Rodriguez and you're like, boom, that's the guy. But there's your problem. Emmett Johnson does not deserve a top 3 vote in the Heisman Trophy from last year.
No.
At all.
Not
And
even a little bit.
that's what gets dangerous about the fan vote. It's like MLB All-Star games, dude. I think you should have to vote for it at the stadiums again. Because, dude, I do not need 14 Blue Jays on the roster.
Yeah, I don't need Ernie Clement making it every single year he's eligible.
Right. Vladdy Guerrero has been dog-s this season, and he was the first baseman. Now, he bowed out.
70 days without a home run.
And he bowed out, which I'm glad, because he should have, and he read the room. But that's what happens when you let fans do this stuff. Look, I'll probably vote once. I don't need to vote throughout the year. I'll vote like once, but I'll vote pretending.
If my vote changes, maybe I'll vote throughout the year.
Yeah, but I mean, for the most part, I don't know. I like to do these things like I were an actual voter. Like, my Hall of Fame vote doesn't change.
I would really like us to know who are the Heisman voters. Because that's my favorite thing is when we get people that say, oh, yeah, I was a part of the vote that helped decide it. After the fact, I want people to put their names on their votes from the get-go.
Every single one.
Air it out. I want to know if you were the guy, if Dante Moore throws for a 4-touchdown game, 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, say it's against Michigan, I want to know who the next week comes out and doesn't put the vote out for him. I want to see who they believe week after week. Does my vote change? Because, again, our vote doesn't necessarily matter.
Sure.
I'm more interested in their vote because that tells me if you are actually watching the product.
Heisman voting last year, number 1, Fernando Mendoza, and then Diego Pavia, Jeremiah Love, Julian Sayin, Jacob Rodriguez, Jeremiah Smith, Gunnar Stockton, Trinidad Chambliss, Caleb Downs, Haynes, King. You know who I don't see on there?
Dante
Emmett Johnson.
or Emmett Johnson.
Emmett Johnson from GD, Nebraska. That's what I don't want this to turn into. Because if it does, get out of here. Then I'm over it.
Arch Manning's already the Heisman if that's the case.
Exactly. The Heisman Trophy is decided by 870 sports journalists, all living former Heisman winners, and a collective fan vote. Country is split into 6 regions, 145 voters from each. Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, South, Midwest, Southwest, and Far West. Oh, we're Far West, huh?
I want to know.
Far West from what?
I would love
Maybe you're the Far East.
to know all 145 of those Far West.
Me too.
I would love to know their names.
And I want to know if they voted for Toby Gerhart or not.
I would love to figure out if they were deciding votes or if they were swaying votes.
Closing arguments coming up next to send you on your way. The Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM, 1080 AM.
The biggest.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Closing arguments are brought to you by Oregon Divorce Mediation Services, presented by our friends at Leskin Law. For more information, visit leskinlaw.com. Coming up on the program on Monday, we'll get back into some more football as we're getting closer and closer. Week 0 will be next week.
Got some breaking news for you as Klay Thompson, pulling up the Shams Charania tweet. Klay Thompson is expected to sign with the Miami Heat after he clears waivers upon a contract buyout with the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, I'm a little... Go ahead.
Thompson and Mavericks navigated a buyout from his $17.5 million expiring salary after the four-time NBA champion made it clear to Dallas that he wanted to play for a contender. The Heat made one of the NBA's all-time greatest shooters their top free agent priority to surround him around Giannis and Bam Adebayo.
Yeah, I'm surprised it took this long for Dallas to buy him out. Miami definitely needs shooters. I don't know if my guy Klay is that answer at this point in his career.
I think that was Dallas trying to figure out where Klay fits or if he even does fit in their future, and figuring out that he doesn't, send him off, let him go play for a contender.
Yeah, I mean, the only people in this world that like Klay more than me are like his parents. I'm a diehard Klay Thompson guy. Go Cougs.
He's a biracial angel.
And as much as I love him and can't wait for him to go into the Hall of Fame, and he's the greatest Wazoo basketball player of all time.
Top 5 shooter of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree as well. Like, just a bona fide, like, he is 3-and-D. He is like elite 3-and-D.
He's the example.
Exactly. Like, all 3-and-D winger guards, wingers should be like him. I just don't know if this point in his career, if he's still got it, unfortunately.
I hope that he's able to at least have instances of his old self, because, I mean, top 5 shooter of all time.
And without...
I don't hastily say that. Klay Thompson has one of my favorite jump shots, I think, in all of basketball.
Yeah, and you do have guys that are going to be ball dominant, going to the rack in Bam and Giannis, that he'll have the opportunity to just kind of hang out there like a Mike Miller, like a Kyle Korver kind of dude, of just hang at the line and hit me with the rock.
What Ray Allen was for that Miami team.
Exactly.
With LeBron.
Yeah, late in the game, Ray Allen. And if that works, then that does help. Wiggins, Klay Thompson, Bam, Giannis, not bad.
Plus, you know that he can work with Andrew Wiggins well.
Yeah, and
We've seen it before.
And if you need Klay to bring up the ball, he can. I don't know if I'd want
Not
to.
the strongest ball handler, but he's a guy you're comfortable with the ball in his hand.
Klay Thompson coverage on The Fan is presented by Xfinity. Score the most reliable Wi-Fi. One price, 5 years guaranteed. Xfinity, imagine that. Let's look around the Baseball Association today. At 1:10, you're going to get Atlanta at Milwaukee. Chris Sale versus Jacob Mizorowski. That is must-watch afternoon baseball. Both teams vying for the playoffs. Both teams vying for the bye and home field advantage throughout. Chris Sale's been fantastic this year. Jacob Mizorowski has been the best pitcher in baseball this year. So definitely one to watch. There's a lot of really good stuff.
Not named Schlittler.
A lot of really good stuff. We'll get to him in a second. A lot of really good stuff going around in Major League Baseball today. San Francisco is in Boston. You get Logan Webb versus Sonny Gray. Toronto is in New York. Cam Schlittler on the bump for the Yankees in that one. Scrolling. Reed Detmers on the mound for the Angels. They're in Texas to take on Mackenzie Gore. Cleveland is in Colorado. Yeah, nobody cares about that. Your night games, you have Matthew Boyd. Chicago is in Seattle this weekend. Matthew Boyd versus Emerson Hancock should be a decent matchup. And Pittsburgh at the Dodgers is your other night game. That is Bubba Chandler versus Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I am going to watch that tonight. That sounds delectable. Nom, 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 nom.
It's a good little matchup.
Nom, 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 nom. Jake Bobo, serious knee injury up at Seattle camp. Looks to be potentially done for the season. Is that a tough hit? Like, I don't want to make fun of Jake Bobo too much, but, like, are we like, Seahawks are done?
But he's their utility guy. He's their
Seahawks
guy
are done.
that you can plug him in. It's good to have a plug-and-play wide receiver who knows the offense, knows the playbook, and knows responsibility. Plus, he's a really solid run blocker. So you bring him in for run blocking packages when you need Cooper Kupp to get a break, when you need Rashid Shaheed to take a few off. That could be a big hit for him. Yeah, Jaden Higgins, wide receiver for Houston. He is out for the year.
Yeah, we thought that was
season-ending injured reserve.
Yeah, we thought that was going to happen. Binary Brewing and The Fan have teamed up for the only Fan IPA available for a limited time. Taste The Fan with Binary Brewing's signature West Coast IPA. Go to Binary Brewing's Beaverton location and ask them about their only Fan. So good, only The Fan and Binary Brewing can pull it off. Another big news in Major League Baseball over the weekend, the Seattle Mariners are calling up Cade Anderson. He's going to throw the rock on Saturday. That's going to be must-watch. He's the number one prospect in baseball. Their number one prospect, obviously, if he is in baseball, he is there. It'll be an interesting thing to watch Cade Anderson to see how he throws. Look, I don't know if this is a good idea. Maybe it's because you're waving the white flag and get him a little bit of big league time. You don't want to pitch him too much if he loses his minor league status. And there is a lockout next year. Cade Anderson doesn't pitch in the minors. That is something I would be very, very protective of.
Yeah, that's my confusion over this situation.
Yeah.
Is bringing him up now, that only hurts your future.
Yeah,
so is it a smart idea to bring him up now?
And are you really, I don't know, man. George Kirby got lit again. If Emerson gets lit tonight, dude, I don't know. If I'm the Mariners, I'm probably just calling it a day.
Yeah, pack it in. They're having a tough year.
Just pack it in, man. There's not much more you can do, so I would probably let that go. There is preseason tonight for you sickos out there. Jets, Steelers, Panthers, Jags, Packers, Broncos, and I believe...
Parlay.
There's a bunch on Saturday as well, but the big one's on Sunday for you Hawk fans out there. That is Seattle, Tennessee, which you can hear right here. Timbers will take on LAFC tomorrow at 7:30, pregame at 6:30. Adam Sussman give you the pregame, postgame love with Fletcher Johnson and Aaron Heinsohn on the call. We'll catch you on Monday. We'll report back on the meringue wedding, and you can have fun with that. Closing arguments are brought to you by Oregon Divorce Mediation Services, presented by our friends at Leskin Law. For more information, visit leskinlaw.com. Oregon Divorce Mediation Services, the alternative to divorce court. Have a great weekend, everybody. Be kind to each other out there. For Casey Smith, I'm Patrick Harris. Go do something I would do.